Call me old-fashioned, but I think if you threaten your friends and your allies, I don't think you deserve to lead the world. Crazy idea, right? These days you
to
kind
me,
of have
it
to.
sounds like
Sad that you even have to say it, but you do. It's such a simple concept. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the kind of culture, because we like to talk about culture here, if you're the kind of culture that can't stop yourself from threatening innocent people and threatening your allies, crazy idea. I don't think that you should actually be the kind of person who's in charge of the world. I don't think you earn it. I don't think you have what it takes. I don't think you're cut out, you know? Crazy idea. Anyways, we're going to watch some Adam Mockler versus these Gen Z kids. And we're going to play some SWTOR. SWTOR. Also, guys, check this out. You ready? Check this out. Oh, never mind. Did it work? I don't think it did. All right.
fascist, most corrupt in history, who's escaped the law because of his political influence or something. Why don't
True.
you want Donald Trump dead?
What do you think is radicalizing more people, Nick Fuentes or MSNBC?
Probably MSNBC.
Really? Yeah. More so than Nick Fuentes. I hear
Yeah.
someone laughing behind me, and that's kind of, When immigrants move into the country,
When people say stuff like this, like, they're just repeating it at this point, right? Because however you felt about the mainstream media, let's say 10 years ago, I think everybody kind of agrees that the media info, like the media infrastructure has changed significantly. Like, no one pays attention to MSNBC. No one, who even works at MSNBC? Who's a journalist from MSNBC? These aren't real journalists. They're not real. Joe Rogan is a real, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no one pays attention. So like, I doubt any of these people even are aware of what MSNBC is up to these days. It's so relevant, right? But it's like, it's a catechism. It's something that you're just used to repeating as like the party mantra that you just repeat it still.
are a net benefit. Can you cite a study to the opposite?
I can cite theory. I can cite economic theory.
You asked me for a study and you can't cite one? Because the barriers are increased.
What are the barriers? The only barrier we talked about is work.
No one needs any
and that's
woke
working 20 hours a
studies.
week.
You got me. That was a good one. That was really good. Thank you. You got me.
How far are we away as a society from like 2 + 2 is woke? You know what I mean?
My name is Adam Mockler. I talk politics on YouTube every single day, and I am a liberal college dropout. Today, I'm surrounded by 20 conservative college
I don't
students.
remember how to play.
My first claim is, Trump is causing a rise of fascism in our generation.
Hold on. My guess is they're gonna justify it rather than debating against the point, or they're gonna describe fascism, but they don't want you to use the word fascist. Fascism.
Damn.
Hey Adam, I'm Scotty.
Nice to meet you, Scotty.
Hey, would you mind unpacking a little bit more what you mean by rise?
The rise of fascism.
What do you mean by the word "the"? All right. Anyways, I gotta reassign these combat abilities. I realized I set up the keyboard, the hot keyboard, what the hell you want to call it. But I never actually organized my abilities on here. Is this shit locked? Hold on. How do I unlock this?
Yeah, over the past decade, we've seen a normalization of more fascist, anti-democratic ideologies. Just to explain, Trump's claim to fame, entering US politics, he was famous before this, but he entered US politics by saying Obama wasn't born in America. He convinced a large swath of the country that Obama was not born in America. 4 years later, he was chanting, "Lock her up."
I don't think these are necessarily the best examples. I'm kind of going to see where he goes with this, but they don't care about that. They don't care about Obama or Hillary. And there's a lot of people that are going to chalk it up to, oh, well, everybody says like stupid stuff about everybody. Like, it's politics, right? I think you have to pick something that is either relevant to the audience, which, by the way, I don't even... When you're arguing with these MAGA people on here, like, in this format, you're not trying to convince them, you're trying to convince the audience. So something that's, like, relevant to the audience that Mogler has lied about. Like, let's say, for example, Republicans said that they were going to reduce inflation, reduce the cost of living by voting in Donald Trump, and they didn't do that. They like totally went the reverse direction, did all this market manipulation bullshit. They said that they're going to get rid of corruption, and they didn't get rid of corruption. They said that the election was stolen, and they never produced any evidence of it. Well, I guess the election stolen thing doesn't really relate to people, but it sounds a little bit less like, oh, you said a mean name to a politician. Which, by the way, I don't think like the whole birtherism thing is just mean names. I think that's very serious. I'm just saying it's not the best example to use for the audience here, I guess you should say. And for the point that he's trying to make.
At a political rally, and no presidential candidate had done that before. 4 years after that, he had couped the government, or at least attempted to coup the government. And now, I live in the city of Chicago. He's posted AI.
Saying he couped the government, this is a really good debate tactic. I know you might think that it's not. It is, but you have to be able to follow it up. That's the important part. This is a slam dunk point to make, and it's good to never let them. Understand, the Republicans are really good at media because they hammer a point and they make everybody else focus on that point by hammering it, right? And liberals lose to this strategy because it takes more time to explain how they're wrong than it is for them to just vomit out bullshit, right? If you bring up January 6th as a coup attempt, the reality is that right-wing media has moved on to other topics, other points. I'm going to say it. Their media figures and their voters are followers. They are. And they'll follow whatever narrative there is being like shoved in front of their face at any given time. And sometimes they think they're fooling the rest of the population by themselves kind of repeating these narratives to push their political agenda forward. But they have not defended actually on the substance January 6th in quite a few months. So most of them are rusty on this. Mark my words, I guarantee it, most of them are rusty on this. You'll be surprised how rusty they are. Once you actually start bringing up stuff like topics that they don't want to talk about or focus on, you'll be surprised how quickly like they fall under pressure. Where was I even going? Why did I bring this up? Oh, so it's good to bring up, it's a good debate tactic if you can follow it up, to say it's a coup attempt. Number one, when you call it a coup and not just insurrection, it's salacious. The impulse is going to be that they have to address that accusation, but they're rusty on it. And if you have your ducks in the order, you can describe the electoral fraud plot. If you can describe like how electors are assigned, it's assigned by the state, not the president. That's a feature of the Constitution, a feature of the separation of powers, a feature of not having big government. If you can make those points, if you could talk about how he disappeared for 3 hours, even though he is the commander-in-chief and responsible. His number one job is responsibility over the national security. Look at all the extreme stuff he's doing right now under the guise of national security. He deployed the National Guard without congressional approval or other people asking. They're asking on the day, but he didn't do it, right? If you could trot these things out, these aren't even complicated talking points. But liberals and leftists, they need to get their shit together on rhetoric. These are the easy, most salient points to make. I don't want to hear you say, they threaten the transfer of power. I don't want to hear this transfer of power shit, okay? It sounds too abstract. No one knows what the fuck that means. The average person doesn't know what the fuck that means, right? You do, but the average person doesn't. Get better at the rhetoric, but you can make this point very easily. He's commander-in-chief. Number one job, everyone agrees, protection national security of the United States. You could deploy National Guard. He does it right now. He didn't do it. He sat for 3 hours and watched it. Where did he go for 3 hours? Even if you want to say it's not his role to activate the National Guard's Nancy Pelosi, it's not true. But even if you wanted to say that, where the fuck did he go for 3 hours? Just nail them, needle them on that point over and over again. They don't have an answer for it. No one has a good answer for that question because there's not a good answer for that question. Where was he for those 3 hours? Sitting around jerking off, watching it on TV, right? Everybody knows it, and it's good. It's important sometimes to point out the obvious, to remind like your moderate and average voters how full of shit and manipulative these people are. When you point out something so obviously manipulative, it works. So you gotta know your talking points on that point. in order for it to work. But it is very effective because they're not used to debating it. Or they're going to bring out, and I want to cover my bases here because the whole point, the thing that I bring to the table is that I'm a rhetorician. I debate, I argue. I'm a debate lord. Call me whatever the fuck you want. Okay. They're going to try to spin it right now, and they're so like easily led around that the right has prepared them with these talking points for this season, right? Season, the winter season of 2026. This time around, the narrative is, oh, Ashley Babbitt actually died. Like, I mourn her loss. Like, rest in power, Queen. Actually, the Democrats, orchestrated. It was a hoax by the Democrats. Weak nonsense. Don't even give it the time of day. Why do you give it the time of day? Why do you let them dictate the conversation? No one wants to hear that stupid shit. It's fucking stupid. That's lame. That's loser shit. Let's talk about the fact that Donald Trump, where the fuck was he for 3 hours? Where was he? What? Where was he for 3 hours? Super simple question. Commander-in-Chief, the literal capital of the United States is under a threat. If there's a time that you're supposed to exercise your national security responsibility, it's then. Where the fuck was he for 3 hours? There's no good answer to this question. And when they do, if they try to, all you have to do is, no, actually, let me actually tell you where he was for 3 hours. I know you don't know this because your media didn't tell you this. Where he was for 3 hours was he was sitting in a nice little conditioned tent with the rest of his little goons, right? His little friends and his family, his the one son that he has that has, his gums are too big. Lounging around, sipping Diet Coke, probably eating fucking, McFlurries and McDoubles and shit, being a fat ass, sitting on his ass as commander-in-chief while the U.S. Capitol was under assault, and he was actually making calls to Republican Congress members while the government was under assault by his supporters. You say whatever the fuck you want. You could say, oh, well, he didn't directly tell them to do anything. They were absolutely, in fact, his supporters, so everybody knows it. His supporters were assaulting the Capitol. He was sitting around for 3 hours watching it, tweeting out about it in support of his supporters, who were there, by the way. And he was calling Republican congressmen, trying to pressure them to do what the crowd was wanting them to do. How can you tell me as an honest person that a person who tells their supporters to show up somewhere and their supporters gets their supporters all riled up and their supporters start committing acts of violence, and they sit around for 3 hours and tweet out in support of it and tell other people that they should cave to what their supporters are doing? How are you going to tell me that they didn't lead an insurrection? If you are supporting the insurrectionists, because that's what it means, right? Let's just be honest. Let's keep things simple and elementary here, common sense. Because this is honestly really actually common sense. This is actually just the reality, the true shit that everybody knows. If you brought your supporters there and they commit an insurrection and you sit around and watch it for 3 hours and then you tell other people to do what the insurrectionists say, that's because you're the leader of it. That's because you wanted it to happen. That's because you're a criminal. That's the truth. Shove that in their face. Don't be ashamed of it. Why you gotta be ashamed of it? The truth, the bare, simple, raw truth is actually really fucking refreshing right now. You'd be surprised.
Memes of Chicago being invaded. He sent the military into Chicago. So over the past, you could say decade and a half, we've seen a normalization of fascism in America, and I think it's manifesting in our generation in unique ways. We could talk about the Politico story, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I would say let's talk a little bit more about what fascism actually is, because I think fascism is a loaded term.
What's your definition?
And before I get there, what I would say, when you attach...
Don't do this. Let's play a long fucking game of postmodern redefining of terms, okay? Don't let them do this. I don't know why people have a hard time making this point. This is really, really fucking simple. This is literally like high school history class. This is really genuinely the most important lesson that you're supposed to learn from your entire public education in history around, the subject of history. The most important thing. Like, if you took nothing else away, you take away the fact that what is Nazism, what is fascism, how do you spot it, right? Fascism, it's really not that complicated. Super, super fucking simple. Every historian agrees on this. This has always been the common definition throughout all of history and time. We don't have to squabble about, oh, is fascism capitalism or Marxist or socialist or whatever. Nationalism, fascism, sorry, is authoritarian nationalism. It always is, always has been. It could take on different forms in different countries, but the unifying thing, everybody fucking knows. It's time to just say the simple, honest truth. It's authoritarian nationalism. That's what it is. Simple.
Fascism to Trump's name, that is a slap in the face to all the Jews who were exterminated under fascist law.
No, it's not. What's a slap in the face to all the Jews that died in the Holocaust while you guys buddy up to like people like Nick Fuentes and you guys have like neo-Nazi chat groups for your GOP little leadership, you know, 17-year-old fucking AstroTurf bullshit, is when fascism rises again, you running lip service and cover for it. That is the most vile and disgusting, depraved, unforgivable piece of shit thing that you can ever fucking do to the people who died in the Holocaust. Fuck you.
Fascism doesn't just have to do with Jews. Donald Trump is absolutely...
it was Hitler. When you think of fascism, you think of two people. You think of Hitler and you...
I mean, yeah, you can think of Hitler, you can think of Mussolini, but you could also think of Stalin. You could think of Franco. You could think of Jair Bolsonaro, right? There's a lot of different examples of fascism. You know what all of them have in common? Authoritarian nationalism, rising on fear of immigrants, fear of diversity, fear of some kind of globalist conspiracy. They always do the same. It's the same talking points, literally. Textbook, go look it up. Go read in the book. I know you guys are all fucking lazy. You don't actually do your own research. Go look it up. Every single one, it's the same fucking thing. Every single time. Right? And they use that to ride towards authoritarianism. We need a strong fucking leader who has no checks and balances because the scary fucking immigrants are diluting our population. Same shit every single fucking time.
You think of Mussolini, who killed millions and millions of people. Trump...
Yeah, so, you know, if you have fascism killing and maiming and oppressing so many people, maybe you shouldn't fucking support it and run cover for it and try to normalize it. That's the whole point. That's the whole thing, right? We don't want to wait for that to happen. Why the fuck would we wait for that to happen? That's stupid.
Trump is not that.
What's your definition of fascism?
I would say fascism is a one person or one party who is silencing and who is demeaning and who is, I guess you would say, you know, opposing and silencing any other
No, do not grant them this definition. They want to pull the conversation away from everything but nationalism. They always do. No, Mockler, you always need to bring it back to nationalism because it is always nationalism. The nationalism is what inspires them to then oppress minority groups. That's what makes fascism unique among all the different other kinds of authoritarianism. It forms the motivation behind the movement, the rhetoric behind the movement, the ability to corral people into a cult-like following because you're using their national identity to do so. The nationalism is the most important feature of fascism. Do not let them ever take the conversation away from that. It is not socialism, it is not capitalism, it is absolutely 150% nationalism gone awry.
With a cult of personality who forcibly suppresses opposition, as you said, but at the same time he erodes
do you not say nationalism? You need to. I'm sorry, look, the Mogler, I love you and everything, bro. You have to tie it to nationalism. You have to. It is the most important fucking feature of it, okay? Without that, it's just any other brand of authoritarianism.
Military in the streets. Do you disagree with any of that?
I agree with you that Trump did send in the National Guard
which one
right
of those,
to Chicago.
Which one of those descriptions does not describe Trump? All of those terms.
I would say that
Good. I know I've been kind of harsh on him. That is the correct way to go. The guy was trying to shift the conversation. Adam brought it right back. You're not even engaging with the points that I just made. I'm going to make you engage with the points that I just made. Which one of those things did you disagree with? Let's have a conversation about it. I want to have this conversation. I brought it up. This is my topic. These are my talking points. Do not let them fucking rob that from you. Learn to actually take, when you have the ball, score a touchdown. When you have the ball, put it in the basket. Don't let them always fucking deflect you and distract you away from it. Put it in the goddamn basket. Okay? Pay for your shit. Get the fuck out of there. All right?
I guess when you say, what are his motives behind doing these certain things, right? Because you're asking me.
Yes.
No, you're saying these things.
No. Yes. You were pressing me on the definition.
Yes, good, Mockler. Don't let him fucking dodge, bro. It's not even unfair, by the way. I know some of you, like, you're too polite. You're too Canadian. This is fair. This is a debate. I asked you a question. Answer the question, bro. Like, I have to answer your questions. You should answer mine. And if you don't want to answer my question, you're disrespecting me, actually. And you're treating me unfairly. I'm not going to fucking put up with that. So answer the question.
Definition of fascism.
Okay.
So I gave you a few qualities. Which of those qualities does not describe
Okay,
Trump?
say those qualities one more time.
It is a far-right authoritarian ideology with one leader at the top who is a cult of personality. He forcibly suppresses opposition. They like hyper-militarization
Okay, so
and
forcibly,
eroding.
I disagree with forcibly doing that. Tell me, give me an example right now about forcibly.
You know,
Oh, interesting. He wants a democratically elected fascist. Is that what he's talking about? Or he wants a fascist? Well, okay. Forcibly. Let's see where this is going. I'm kind of curious where his mind is at.
a really good example is lately Jimmy Kimmel was taken off air by the FCC because the FCC.
I knew we were gonna go here with Jimmy Kimmel.
Wait, listen, no.
That's not.
Did you hear? You know who the FCC commissioner is?
Yes. Okay.
Who is it?
No, I actually don't know exactly.
Maybe not the best example. It's not a bad example, but what would be? I know he's on the fly. So what would be the best example of forcibly, bro? January 6th, honestly, like I don't care if it's redundant. There is no other conversation. You guys like tried to steal an election. You tried to cheat all of us out of our country. Like, you guys are genuinely hostile to the rest of us. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. You tried to steal my country and my representation from me. You want to talk about, oh, what do you mean by forcefully? Like, bro, that's by force. You didn't win that fairly. You didn't win an election. You're just trying to steal it. That's by force.
Exactly who this, but I know what it is.
Oh, but I don't agree with it. Oh, cool. Well, let's have that conversation then. I am happy to keep the conversation right here.
Brendan Carr. So if you don't know who it is, then you might not know that Brendan Carr said in an interview, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. It was essentially a mobster threat. Other than that, Donald Trump has attacked law firms. He has attacked universities. Jimmy Kimmel might not be the best example because he's a late night show host, but it is a glaring example.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right. I would disagree with you. And what do you mean by like forcibly, right? Because you're attaching fascism to Trump, right? When we attach fascism, we attach that to Hitler and Mussolini. Jimmy Kimmel, him taking Jimmy Kimmel, he didn't have any.
Yes, we do attach it to Hitler and Mussolini because these are oppressive, authoritarian, bad states. We don't want this to happen. That's why we're talking about it. That's why we're bringing it up. The fascist regimes, what they did was they would target anyone who is dissenting. So the fact that you have the president targeting members of the media who are dissenting, not just criticizing them, threatening them, not just criticizing them, trying to use the government in a corrupt manner, in a manner that the law did not give you the authority to do. The law doesn't give you that power over the FCC. Sorry, it does not give you the power over the FCC. The FCC doesn't give you that power so that you can use it to target your political dissent, to silence them, to silence free speech. That is not what it's for.
Anything direct to do with taking Jimmy Kimmel off of air. The reason why Jimmy Kimmel got taken off of air is because nobody likes Jimmy Kimmel. I've maybe laughed 3 or 4 times at Jimmy Kimmel. He's not that funny.
Let's talk about the word forcibly then. Forcibly doesn't mean through violence. It could be using the state, using the government or your position of power to try to suppress the opposition.
I mean, libertarians will tell you, will be first to tell you, the government is violence. It's a monopoly on violence. The question is if it's justified. The justified use of force, of violence, is what we're talking about. That's what politics is. That's what law is. It's not really what politics is. It's what law is, but anyways.
Donald Trump has spent his entire political career acting like the Democratic Party shouldn't exist. You know Act Blue, the fundraising?
I don't like this argument. This is a destiny argument. The Democratic Party shouldn't exist. No one gives a shit about the Democratic Party. Okay? I get abstractly what the point there is, but for a general audience, this just kind of makes you sound like the only reason that you care is because it's like a partisan thing, right? Like you are a Democrat. Like you may not be a Democrat, but obviously if you are on this side of the debate, you are representing that kind of side, that faction in this. And so when you say like, oh, Donald Trump didn't want the Democratic Party to exist, you kind of sound like a teenager like whining, right? Like, well, you just don't like us, right? And I get it, it's actually way more serious than that. I'm just saying to a general public, on the surface, that's what it sounds like. So there's better examples that you don't have to spend so much time like building up. Because in order for that argument to make sense to a general public, they need to understand like like conceptually why that's corrupt, right? And I don't think you just saying that part alone doesn't do it. You have to explain it. So there are better examples.
And Obama have done the same things. What are you talking about?
Okay.
It's not about forcibly.
Let me ask you.
What?
Forcibly, are we still? So we're still trying to justify the concept of forcibly. He doesn't want his, was this over the one party thing? Okay, so over the one, I think it was over the one party thing that in a fascist state usually have one party, which is true, right? It's usually going to be the leader's party, or almost always is. He didn't want the Democratic Party to exist. It sounds like a partisan claim, and it's not a discrete claim. It's not a discrete claim in the sense that there's not a specific fact tied to that. It's more of like a collection of inferences that you have to build up, right? Or if there's like a direct quote, you could cite that, but I don't think there is for this one topic. So it falls flat. There's a better example out there. Let's try to think of a better example. They want a one-party state. Well, gerrymandering. And January 6th. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's true. January 6th is an attempt to steal power, not let any other party democratically get power again. That is you forcibly trying to set up a one-party state. Gerrymandering. We have the Hoffler files. Anyone who's watching this right now, I want you to go look up something. It's something that the media never talks about. They talk about Russia, Russia, Russia. They talk about the Epstein files, but no one ever talks about the Hoffler files. Isn't that kind of weird? Bring up the Hoffler files. Bring up the South Carolina case where a judge found that the was it North Carolina, that Carolinians, okay, let's not pretend that those are two separate states. That's one state trying to do like I'm demisexual, bi, queer, whatever the fuck, okay? Like pick one, okay? You're either North or South Carolina, or you're just both, okay? A judge in, I think it was North Carolina, had found that the Republicans in that state were targeting black voters with quote-unquote surgical precision. Now you might be thinking like, oh, I was a biased judge. Who would say that? Why would you say that? Well, let me tell you. Let me educate you. The reason that was said was because the Republican Secretary of State, and I believe that he got training from Hoffler, from the Hoffler files. Look him up. He asked for voter ID from the state, broken down by the race, who they voted for, and how they voted. Do you see where this is going? Now, the reason that he did that, and there was an email chain for this, so it's not just he said, she said, there's like actual evidence of this. The reason that they did that, and I think they even admitted this, was that they saw that black voters tended to vote more for the Democratic Party. So they wanted to stop black people from voting or decrease the amount of black people from voting. And so they looked at the kinds of IDs that black voters would use versus white voters, let's say. They looked at, do they vote by mail? Do they vote this way? And then they put it before, the public and everything. We need to target this voting. We need to outlaw this voting, right? Kind of like Donald Trump does. Isn't that kind of crazy? It's all part of a plan. The world right now is so into conspiracies, but there's actually a real conspiracy going on that they never tell you about. You got to look up those Hoffler files. So, gerrymandering. If you're gerrymandering, you see what I did? They call it the weave. I just brought it back. If you're gerrymandering, it's because you want a one-party dictatorship. If you are trying to suppress the vote, it's because you want a one-party dictatorship. If you are trying to literally steal an election, it's because you want a one-party dictatorship. If you are saying that you're going to lock up your political rivals and you're saying that you're going to do it without actually having like an actual crime that they've committed, it's because you want a one-party dictatorship.
Has Trump done
Let me ask
forcibly remove the opposition?
Okay.
He's
there you
spoken
go.
against
I just told you.
the press. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Every president has done that of all time. They've spoken against the opposition press.
No, don't let them do this. These are baby words. These are, oh, I'm sorry, mommy. I didn't mean to, I didn't mean to touch the cat. No, Charlie, you didn't touch the cat. You hit the cat. I'm sorry, I didn't know I'm not allowed to touch the cat. No, you hit the cat. Okay, let's use adult words here. We're not using baby words. I'm not going to baby you. I'm sorry, you can't hit the cat. It wasn't that he simply criticized the media. It's that he turned the FCC against media that was oppositional to him, that was dissenting from him. He was trying to use the government to crack down on free speech. Not just criticism, force, violence, state violence.
But that doesn't mean he's forcibly removed somebody.
It does, actually, when you're using force. Or, interesting thing here, there's for the few libertarians that still actually exist, coercion is the threat of force. So even if you didn't actually get around to using that force, if you are pressuring it, if you are threatening it, that's coercion.
From that position.
Last month, Donald Trump sent out a Truth Social post towards Pam Bondi. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
He said, Pam, I want you
what
to
the fuck? I need
indict
to
these
fucking
3 people
change
and
this
move fast. What happened is Eric Siebert, the federal prosecutor from the Eastern District of Virginia, then...
So this is like a good point for a more academic audience, let's say. The average person doesn't understand this point, and it's a point that we should be making, but you have to make the point. They don't understand why it matters that the president tells the DOJ to go after people specifically, right? And in a vacuum, it actually doesn't really seem that bad, right? If the president knew that someone, did a crime, let's say they were trying to orchestrate a coup against the government, who would do that? It didn't really seem that bad if the president was like, hey, John Smith of the DOJ, I want you to look into this person, and I believe they committed a crime, do an investigation, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, good, whatever. Now, the argument against that is that it looks like you are targeting political opponents, and that the Department of Justice should focus, or should function as a separate entity from the president, connected, but also kind of semi-autonomous in the same way that states are, right? So that way it doesn't look like the Department of Justice is just a political arm of the president. I would argue, and some people have said, I wouldn't say this, some people would argue that maybe the DOJ and the administrative state should actually officially be under the legislative branch, with the president only having like a day-to-day operational role, but overridden by Congress. I wouldn't say that, but some people would say that might be a more stable system. I don't know. It's not necessarily the best point to make, because you actually have to explain to people why it matters that a president is directing the DOJ. So there's got to be some better examples here.
And was forced to resign, forcibly resign, not through violence, but through pressure. Then...
Okay, forcefully resign. This isn't a strong one. I'm sorry, it's not. I know I've been like super critical on the Mogster here. I love him a great deal. Okay, he is our champion. All right, this is just constructive criticism.
You see 2 of the 3 people that Donald Trump named indicted for random stuff. You have
forcibly resign. Okay, most people are going to think, as an intuitive thing, that if you serve in the executive branch, the president should be able to fire you, right? Because he is like the head of that structure. That's what we elect him for, right? So a better way of even making this point is to say the president shouldn't be forcing people to resign for corrupt reasons. Adding that little qualifier does a lot. It does a lot for an average audience, because you're actually gesturing at the actual abstract reason why we want that separation there, but you're doing it in a way that is like directly making the point about the person that you're targeting here. Like you're giving a specific example directed at the specific person that you're making arguments against, and you're also kind of referencing the abstract concept underneath. You're giving little seeds, right?
Keisha James, and then you have James Comey, who got indicted. We also just saw John Bolton indicted. Can I ask you, is indicting your political opponents for speaking up against you?
They did the exact same things to Trump.
Who's they?
The left party, the Democrat.
Who is they is a good question. Sometimes, and oftentimes, not even a bad one here. There's a better route to go, which is to say they're not the same, right? When Donald Trump was targeting his political rivals, he was doing it because they were dissenting, not because they actually did something illegal. when Donald Trump was being targeted, it's because he actually has a long track record of illegality. And this is why he went to the Supreme Court to argue that presidents should be immune from criminal acts. You want immunity from criminal acts because you're doing things that are illegal.
Democratic Party has
A
done the same
grand
thing.
jury in New York?
They tried to
A grand jury in New York? Who's they?
See, now we're getting.
Okay, I underestimated the Mogler here because that is I wasn't anticipating that he had the correct follow-up to that question that kind of ties it right back in, right? But this is a good point to go down. When they say, oh, they targeted Trump, he's trying to make the insinuation that the Democrats targeted Trump for political reasons. Donald Trump was indicted by a jury of his own peers. He was indicted by a jury. Now, some people will say, oh, juries are biased, juries are this and that. They pick juries to be neutral before they go into the case. That is part of the whole process of jury selection, is juries for cases are picked on who among this pool of different people that are called upon for jury duty don't have a vested interest in this case. They can go either way, right?
Into those jury things where they use political power to.
And hey, if you want to say the jury is biased, then prove it, motherfucker. You're making an accusation. Which one's biased? Who's biased? Which juror was biased? This is a little bit of a cheating question. I don't know if we actually know the jurors in that case, so it might be a little bit of a cheating question. I'm just being cheeky, but honestly, most people probably wouldn't be prepared for that series of questions. But it is a little bit of a manipulative debate tactic there.
To go after
Did
Trump
Biden
because
ever
they
tweet-
were afraid of him. They were afraid of what he was going to do to America.
Did Biden ever
right?
tweet at his attorney general and say,
They were
hey,
right
Merrick
to be.
Garland, can you indict
No, because
these three
Biden
people?
wasn't even in charge of the presidency.
Okay, so Biden
he was not
wasn't
even making
weaponizing
those
the government.
things.
Pause. Sorry, you've
Now, the most important thing that the Mogler did right here, beyond my little nitpicks here, is that the Mogler kept the conversation in his wheelhouse. He directed it back to where he wanted it to go. He stayed on topic, and he forced the other person to either listen to him, give his arguments, which he did a good job of, or he never let the opponent get away on some kind of slimy way to kind of reframe the conversation.
eliminated by the majority.
Adam, that was so much
That was
fun.
great.
Nice
I
to
love
meet
that.
you, man.
It was great to meet you, Scotty.
It really wasn't. Let's be honest here. Let's normalize not having respect for people with political differences. Let's normalize that some people's political differences are the downfall of our society, and I don't really fucking like them or respect them either. Sue me, motherfuckers, sue me. I don't respect your political opinion if you're a Trump supporter. I don't. Okay, and let's be honest, you don't support mine. You don't respect mine either. So fuck them.
Sadie, nice to meet you. I'm Adam.
You. So I want to touch on your forcible suppression of the opposition as defining fascism. So in my understanding, I think that the leftist party is assassinating conservatives. So we're talking about Charlie.
This goes without saying. I don't need to say this. Random people shooting people is not the party itself doing it. There is no connection between some of these random mass shooters and the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party does not support it. You can ask them, very simple question, which Democratic leader or media figure was calling for the assassination or supporting any of the assassins? None of them were, right? But furthermore, if you want to say, oh, well, they don't do it up front, they do it behind the scenes, they do it like in a kind of roundabout way. Okay, well, prove it then, right? I'm not going to let you just say that. I'm not going to let you just throw an accusation out. That's a bold accusation. I think it's bullshit. You should have to prove that, right? Instead of just saying that. But what's crazy is I could actually flip this around, and conservative media has actually been full of a lot of people actually calling for political violence against their opposition. In fact, when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, everybody saw, everybody did. Okay, the veneer is off, the facade is off. We know that our neighbors, people that we go to work with, people we go to school with, some of our family members wanted civil war against the rest of us because one person killed a political commentator that half of these motherfuckers didn't even know the name of before that day. You didn't even know who this fucking guy was. Honestly, most of you didn't. You weren't aware of the clips or anything. You were caught off foot. You heard all your friends and family who were into right-wing politics. They were like, oh no, it's a tragedy. And you're like, oh yeah, you're totally right. It is a tragedy. You didn't even know who he was. But when that happened, one random person, before you even knew who did it, by the way, you wanted a civil war against the rest of us. You wanted to kill me, my friends, my family, take over the country, take away my representation, because some random motherfucker that I have no association with killed, you know, this fat, gummy motherfucker for the Republican Party. Okay, so you guys were calling for violence. And that wasn't just random people on Twitter or Facebook. That was Republican media, Republican politicians, Republican, you know, political personalities and influencers and everything. It was the leadership. And even worse, even further, the Trump administration, after all this happened, hid data that shows that right-wing political violence it's out of control in this country. It's worse than immigrants. It's worse than gang members. It's worse than, you know, all these crime statistics that they like to cite. I think the political violence by the right is probably the worst out of all those things, you know? And so if there's a political party that's trying to not only, you know, instigate political violence, civil war, but is also hiding every time that they commit political violence, that tells me that these people are up to no good. They're no good. They're bad hombres.
Charlie Kirk's assassination, we're writing, engraving on the bullets, catch fascist. I think that shows
Can you
more
define
of a fascism
leftist,
over here.
Can you define what you mean by leftist party? Because
you know what I'd hit him with? Hit him with the alpha male move right here. I'd go, you know what? Two things can be true at one time. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and he also was a fascist too. I mean, what the fuck do you want me to say? I'm not saying that he should have been assassinated or anything, but just because he was murdered doesn't mean he wasn't a fucking fascist. I mean, it is what it is. What do you want me to fucking tell you, right? When people say, oh, George Floyd was like a pimp and he was a bad guy and everything, like, yeah, what do you want me to fucking say? Yeah, he was. You ever think that that was in dispute? Yeah, of course. Right? That doesn't change just because he got fucking killed or anything. Which, by the way, that was never the argument. It wasn't, oh, George Floyd shouldn't have been killed because he was a good guy. The argument was that we shouldn't have extrajudicial murder of citizens just because, I don't know, the police are a little bit too gung-ho. Okay? You know, it is what it is. You're guaranteed a right of trial by a jury of your peers before we execute you. That's how it is. I mean, I don't even like the death penalty, but that's the process, right? People on the right have talked for a long time about this whole idea of like innocent until proven guilty. Oh, you didn't prove that. He didn't go to trial. He didn't cite me the charge, whatever. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to just kill citizens in the street. I'm sorry. Take them to trial. If you're so sure about it, take it to trial. You know, if you're so much about law and order, if you're about Western civilization, right? Western civilization is innocent until proven guilty. It's a trial, right? You don't just fucking kill people because you're fucking lazy, okay?
I think that conservatives are very good at individual responsibility, and when you're placing...
I don't think they are. I think they're full of shit. I think they tell themselves they're good about individual responsibility. I don't think they have individual responsibility. I don't think they take personal accountability. I don't think they're able to accept the truth and acknowledge the truth and just be honest.
The blame on an entire party because one 22-year-old dude killed somebody, which is obviously tragic, then what do you mean by leftist party?
Yeah, so we have Kamala Harris calling Trump supporters fascist, Biden calling...
They are. Well, I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, you're not a fascist because someone out there might get upset with you and might want to murder you or something? Okay, sorry. You guys call people socialists and communists all the time? What do we do with socialists and communists in America? What did we do throughout the 80s? What do you guys say that we should be doing about socialists and communists? What did you just do in Venezuela on the subject of socialism and communism, right? Well, we're not allowed to call you fat. What happened to the First Amendment? What happened to political? We don't do political correctness. What happened to words are not violence? What happened to you know? All I did was say something. You're the one that got violent. I'm allowed to call you whatever the fuck that I want, and you guys are fascists. You guys behave like fascists. You engage all the same fucking talking points. You have the same policy. Like, when you're alone in your chat rooms, you guys are all glazing them up because you love them. Like, you know it, I know it, everybody knows it, okay? That doesn't go away just because someone got shot with a bullet. I'm sorry, it doesn't, right?
Trump supporters fascist. When you have these big leaders calling individuals fascist, and then that is getting...
If you're a fascist, you're a fascist. This is the $1 million question that it's not even $1 million. It's like a $1 question. If someone's a fascist, what do you like? We're not allowed to call them fascists now. You know what I mean? Is that what you're telling me? Like, we can't call people fascists anymore because some people might get killed if you call them a fascist? Like, you know, you guys saying that the Democratic Party is trying to destroy the country. You're saying that people are trying to trans the kids. And you don't think that might lead to violence? Are you not allowed to say it now?
Getting tagged on to conservatives as a whole. So I think that the leftist party is actually very good about saying one thing about one person, and then this is getting spread to everyone. So back to what I'm saying about Charlie Kirk. So in
And just hit him with the Mog move. Hit him that Mogler move. Yeah, and genuinely, and what the fuck do you want me to do about it? They labeled people bad words because the things that those people were doing were bad. What the fuck, bro?
Charlie Kirk got assassinated saying catch fascist. I think that's a very good example of fascism. And then you want to talk about the
Can I ask you?
That's not fascism. Fascism isn't when someone gets killed because of their personal belief. Marxists have killed people over their personal beliefs. Conservatives have killed people over their personal beliefs. Islamic people have done it. Christians have done it. Jewish people have done it. Like, every single ideology in the history of mankind has murdered other people for their political beliefs. It's happened somewhere. Doesn't mean that we're not allowed to call people what they are anymore.
Is your position that people in power should not be calling the opposition party fascists or Gestapo or Hitler?
Absolutely.
Donald Trump.
Absolutely. What a moron, dude. It's so obvious where he was going to go with this line of questioning. I can't believe she was stupid enough to go, oh, absolutely. How do you not know that the follow-up to that is going to be that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, all the rest of these Republicans have said the same thing?
Trump called Kamala Harris and Joe Biden a fascist.
Well, actually, when he did it was okay. But, you know, when you think about it, when Democrat and liberal do it, that bad. But me, when me do it, or when Republican do it, or conservative, or Christian, like, we're good people. We are God's chosen people, so we can do whatever we want. But when you do it, it's bad. You see, it makes perfect sense.
Fascist a dozen times throughout the campaign trail. He called them Gestapo, and only one politician has called Donald Trump Hitler, and it's J.D. Vance, his vice president.
And which party has that stuck to? That stuck to conservatives.
Maybe because you guys behave that way. Maybe it sticks because you guys embody it. Maybe it sticks because there's some truth to it. Maybe it sticks because it's so easy for other people to go, you know what? Yeah, you know, I kind of see it, honestly.
Fascism has stuck to conservatives consistently. You have all this violence on college campuses saying that they're calling Turning Point Target Practice USA.
That's messed up.
Posting photos of us.
Who's saying that? Who's they? Who are these people, right? Who the fuck are you talking about? I haven't heard any Democrats, or I haven't even heard any liberals say this. I get that she probably gets this stuff like fed to her on her social media, some random person or some like AI loser that she probably thought was a real person, just like the guy, you know, that, you know, I won't go there. But like, press her on that. Who the fuck are you talking about? Some random fucking loser on Twitter that no one fucking cares about? That only you pay attention to because you're so easily get manipulated by AI, you know, bot algorithms?
Us with red X's on
That's
our
not
face.
okay.
With us? Who's us? Who, you? You had a red X on your face? Who are you talking about?
Dots on our neck. So how are you to say?
You had dots on your neck. You have GOP political ads all the time that have targets, like literal actual targets on Democrats and other people. Okay, like you guys glorify gun culture to the degree where you guys are blasé about joking about violence against other people. You're over here talking about invading other fucking countries, and you're like, oh, how can you call us a fascist? That's mean. How can you do that? That's not fair.
They though, like random unhinged people. Do you think unhinged
Random
people exist on
unhinged
both?
Don't say random unhinged people. Just say like random fucking people. I'm nitpicking. I'm sorry.
Random unhinged.
Do you think
leftists.
unhinged right-wing supporters exist or no?
Absolutely, I think there's some on both sides, but that's why I'm saying you can't say forcible suppression of the opposition is tagged only onto Trump because that's coming from the left side as well.
Okay, let me ask you then. I'm gonna ask you the same question.
The important point here is, and he almost had this for a minute, random people that you found online who are not in positions of authority or power, it is not anywhere near the same as actually having the leadership that's leading an entire movement doing it. You guys are allowing your entire community to work together towards the normalization of violence. That's the difference. When you find one random fucking person on Twitter that has no relevance, that is in no position of power, it's bad. I'll call it bad. I don't have a problem with calling it bad. That's always going to happen. That has always happened throughout history. That's not really an issue. That's just kind of like a bug, a feature of the human experience. When you have leadership, when you guys co-sign it, when you sit there and you smile in your rip-off 80s attire because you're trying to relive those glory days that you never lived through, by the way. You are supporting violence in society on a mass scale. You are supporting it entirely as a group. I didn't vote for Dark Witch 6967 on Twitter. I don't follow them on Twitter. I don't have them as a channel that I watch on YouTube. They are not putting out the talking points that the rest of our society and culture are talking about. They are not making policy. I didn't vote for that. You did. You did vote for that. That's the difference between you and I, and that will always be the difference between you and I. I'm not going to pretend that that's not the case. And the rest of us don't have to pretend that's not the case. You voted for it. You didn't just look at it on your side and go, that dude's kind of making us look bad. I don't really want to associate with this guy. You co-signed it. All of you, every single one of you, you voted for violence.
Question that I asked Scotty: when Donald Trump sent a True Social post with 3 names in the post, and 2 of those names have been indicted over the past month, is there any analog to the Biden administration sending out open?
Fuck it, I'm in a mood today. All right, I can't even play this game right now, to be honest with you. I can't focus on it because I'm worked up. Let's just watch this fucking thing. Let's get into it.
Attorney General Merrick Garland and asking people to be indicted.
I honestly am not completely knowledgeable on what exactly.
Okay, so
yeah, of course you're not, because your party is a fascistic party, and you're not even aware of it because you're distracted by stupid shit that you saw on Twitter. Of course you're not aware of it, and you're irresponsible, and you're supporting fascism because you're ignorant.
9 months in office, trying to consolidate power among every single institution, not just by appointing loyalists, but by trying to target law firms that are democratic, universities, Act Blue, which is the main fund.
And let's not forget the whole Schedule F scheme that they talked about in Project 2025 before the election, which is they wanted to make it super, super easy for the president to fire everybody in the government who isn't a Republican, who isn't a conservative. The Republicans and conservatives in this country are trying to make it illegal for you to not be conservative. Oh, I said the quiet part out loud. We all know that it's true, actually, though, don't we? The conservatives are trying to make it illegal to not be conservative in the United States. And that's what Donald Trump and the supporters who voted for him and who supported him, that's what they were trying to do. Eliminate everybody in the government who is not part of the one party and only install people not based on competence, not based on their experience, based on the DEI of loyalty to the party.
Raising PAC for the Democratic Party has recently been they're investigating, trying to sue them because they want to take down any mechanism that helps the Democratic Party.
So let's talk about universities.
Is that forcibly
so.
suppressing the opposition party when you're trying to?
I don't know if I'd exactly say forcible suppression. It depends on exactly how you're saying it, because like we were saying, when you were attaching the term fascist, you're talking about Nazis. You're talking about specifically Nazis.
Yeah, I am.
And when they say oppression,
not just Nazis.
I'm saying specifically for what I'm saying. The suppression of the opposition, when they're calling Trump Hitler, they're calling conservatives.
Who's they? JD Vance?
I'm sorry.
I mean, when you do fascist things, you're kind of a fascist. I don't know what to tell you.
Leftist. When the leftist...
Which leftist politician? Can you name one?
I think you're moving the goalpost.
Wait, no. Can you name one leftist politician?
That is absolutely not shifting the goalpost. You brought up that argument. You said they are saying that. Oh, who's they? How's that shifting the goalpost? That is like the specific claim that you're making.
Who has called Trump Hitler?
It's every single. It's like.
So
not,
you shouldn't be
It's
throwing this
everybody.
out when no leftist politicians
It's all the
have
people in the
actually-
and
room
you're
with us right
throwing
now.
out the term fascism.
Because it's accurate.
Is saying that an election was stolen when it wasn't fascism? Wait, do you think the 2020 election was stolen?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know because I'm not. I'm
And
not
honestly,
empowered to
this
find
proves
that
my
out.
point. Trump is causing a rise of fascism in our generation. I would never say that you're a fascist, but I think
I would. I'd say right to her face.
there is a
You're a fascist, but you just don't like the word. You can describe everything about fascism to a person like this without using the word, and they'd be all for it. I want a strong leader. I want a strong leader who unites the nation in a common cause, who defends the people and the traditions and the cultural norms of our country. I want assimilation. And I think that the rest of the globe is in a conspiracy again that's taking advantage of us, and that really we should put our country first, and that we shouldn't have, things like international law that we subscribe to. We should just have our people decide for everybody else, and we should put our people first. And I think that the media, when it goes against our people, I think that they shouldn't really be allowed to do that. I think when they go against our culture, when they start to tarnish our nation, start to tarnish our traditions, I think that's bad. I think that they would say like, oh yeah, I kind of agree with that. That's fascism, bro. What do you want me to tell you?
normalization of an ideology where people are denying elections. You don't even know if the 2020 election was stolen. This isn't America. The 2020 election was not stolen.
You've been eliminated by the majority. Could you please return?
Thank you.
to
That was
the
great.
seat?
The United States went from, you know that meme where you have like the domino, you push the domino and that leads to like a larger problem? The little domino was reality television in like the early 2000s. And the large domino at the end was was the shit that we're seeing right now. Where the reality TV show is, now we watch Jubilee. Now we watch people get eliminated off of political reality television. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. Okay, maybe this might be a little bit too woke. Jubilee is a little bit ableist, is it not? You have to run to get to the seat. Some people are on this side of the fucking room and they got to run all the way over here. Some people got longer legs. This guy in the back over here, like he's got an unfair advantage. What's going on with that?
So you keep saying Trump is a fascist and you just keep throwing that term around.
I didn't say that. I said he's causing a rise of fascism in our...
I didn't say it. You know, I wouldn't say. Some people are saying it's been said. You know, I didn't say it. I would never say it, but you know, some people.
Generation. I would consider him a fascist, though. Yeah.
He's not a fascist because a fascist is one party rule. There's two party.
A fascist is one party rule. Let's just think about that grammatically for a second there. A fascist, A as in singular, is one party. A party might be singular, you know, but a party is comprised of a bunch of people. How is a fascist a group of people? Wouldn't it be fascism is a group of people? I'm just being stupid.
Parties in the United States. It's not one party, and he's not using violence
But it is. I mean, we established this already. We won't go
to
over it again.
control power. It's not like after 2028.
Also, you know, if you're just tuning in, I want to make this super clear, and I don't want people to ever forget this. People will try to distract away from what fascism is. They'll try to like talk about everything else. Like, let's talk about whether fascism is socialism or capitalism. Let's talk about whether or not fascism is, you know, one party state, or, you know, if it's, you know, when you're against minorities or whatever. Fascism, very simple. Authoritarian nationalism. Always remind them, always bring it back to that. There's a reason why they don't want to talk about whether or not fascism is authoritarian nationalism. And it's because once you establish that fascism is a strain of nationalism, you start to target actual things that they've committed themselves to. Everybody in this room, I bet you anything, will tell you that they're nationalists. The political party, the Republican Party, has made it very clear that they're nationalists. Their rhetoric is nationalist in nature. The themes are nationalist. They do not want to talk about the nationalism of fascism. They want to direct the conversation everywhere else.
You're never going to see Trump again. His two-term limit is over. That's not fascism. If you
His two-term limit is over, so that's not fascism. Well, that's kind of funny because he's talking about running a third term, even though he's not supposed to. He's got members of administration doing so. He's selling hats with it on it. Oh, it's just a big joke. Okay, well, his joke is fascism. Kind of funny that you're joking about the fascism, right? But you're not fascist. It's kind of interesting.
want to see fascism, go to the Middle East. I'm Egyptian.
I don't really want to see fascism. That's the whole point. I don't want to see it, actually. But if you want to see fascism, all you have to do is open up a history book, and if you look at the rhetoric, if you look at the behaviors, it's all the same. Oh no, my hotkey. Okay.
If you want to see fascism, I can show you what fascism is. When the president.
Okay, you said fascism is one-party control.
Yes.
Donald Trump has spent the past decade acting like.
Don't grant their definitions. Don't do this. Why are you fighting things on their terms? You define fascism. Fascism is authoritarian national. Never let them forget. Never let the audience forget. Never let the world or the population, never let American body politic ever forget this. Fascism is authoritarian nationalism.
Like the opposition party shouldn't exist.
The issue with Nazi Germany was not that the taxes were too low or too high, or their transportation infrastructure policy, and whether their healthcare policy. The problem with Nazi Germany was that they were so nationalistic that they wanted to take over the rest of the world. They were hostile to every other nationality, and they wanted to purge impure people out of their society, that they wound up genociding people. What the fuck does that have to do with taxes? What the fuck does that have to do with, well, I mean, it has something to do with one party ruling. That's part of it. But that part specifically comes from the nationalism. And we shouldn't forget that.
Exist. Caroline Leavitt just the other day said the entire Democratic voter base is Hamas terrorists, criminals, and illegal immigrants. Stephen Miller says the Democratic Party is not a party.
Where's the lie?
It is a domestic extremist organization. Donald Trump, wait, listen, Donald Trump has called my side Nats, the enemy within, and people who need to be taken care of. He's trying to get
not
the
literally
military
good,
to boo Obama.
But these are the points that you want to make, right? When you are calling people gnats and termites, when you're calling immigrants not just illegals or whatever, now you're calling them an infestation. An infestation are things that you kill. They're pests, they're rodents, they're rats, they're cockroaches. When you're dehumanizing people, that is fascistic rhetoric.
Obama and liberals. So Donald Trump over the past decade does not want the Democratic Party to exist. That's why they're targeting Act Blue. That's why they're targeting our fundraising
telling me
mechanisms.
that he doesn't have the right to criticize the Democratic Party at all?
Baby words. We're doing the baby words again. Oh, so I can't ever eat anything? No, you can't eat cereal right now. I need you to eat some real food. Oh, okay. So I guess I can't do anything then. That's not what I said, okay? Stop being a baby. It's not about criticizing. It's about trying to use force, trying to use the state, and expressing the desire to not have any political opposition at all. It's not just simply criticizing. That's not what we're talking about.
That's not criticizing the party. That's using your power to take down their fundraising
but doesn't
mechanisms.
the Democratic Party, they try to impeach him twice?
And also,
isn't that fascism? Why?
No, it's not. If you're saying impeachment is fascism, then you are fundamentally saying that you think the U.S. Constitution is fascistic. That's fucking stupid. I'm sorry, but that's fucking stupid.
Why are you trying to
wait? Wait.
What it really is actually is it's desperate. You guys recognize that, right? It's a desperate, shitty fucking argument.
He's acquitted twice.
Hold up. You think it's fascism to go through?
Acquitted by his own party. Hey, my family members said I wasn't. My mom said I wasn't guilty of robbing the store. I mean, who are you gonna trust? You gonna trust all these police? Or you gonna trust my mom? I mean, look at her. She's sweet. She would never lie.
Through the proper processes to impeach somebody. Wait a minute.
When one party controls the narrative, when you had Twitter, you got all the
Just go back
medias.
1 second.
When one party controls the narrative, so like when you try to use the FCC to target any political dissent, that's what you mean? When you have every fucking social media platform come to your inauguration while you Nazi salute and they can all curry favor to you and donate to you, is that what you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
No.
Impeaching somebody is not fascism. Impeaching somebody is going through the proper processes.
Making a false narrative around him. That's what they did.
Oh, if you want to talk about false narratives,
let's
talk about the 2020 election. Because
Habibi, listen.
You came in here. Listen,
calm down.
Remember Hanlon's razor. Whatever can be affirmed or asserted without evidence, whatever bold claim can be asserted without evidence, can be dismissed without evidence. They made a false narrative. They literally put a false narrative. No, they didn't. It's me. He said versus she said. If you're just gonna say shit, I'm just gonna deny it. All right. If you want to actually get into the details, I would love to do that, because when we actually get into the details, it doesn't really look so good for you. Your talking points only work when you're kind of like playing word games and when you're being vague and when you're vague posting, when you're insinuating things.
Like, take a deep breath. Okay?
It's funny that he's saying this because everybody recognizes that this dude's kind of getting worked up.
Let me tell you, okay? when you have one party.
I just get mad at terrible talking points. I'm so sorry.
Listen. You know, you take a deep breath. So when you have a party, one party controlling the narrative on social media, and they were telling when there was pre-COVID.
Wait, who owns Twitter right now? Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. But
Who
that's
just bought
free.
TikTok? Right-wingers. Who owns Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg.
Good.
Okay,
Meta.
but they switched
So what
the
do you
narrative.
mean?
They switched narrative based on who's in power.
Why did they do that, though? Why'd they do that? They did that because Donald Trump will go after you with the FCC. They did that because, yeah, I don't know.
So
I
right
don't
now,
got
you
it.
got Trump, right? You're saying he's a fascist. Is that
If
your
Donald
claim?
Trump
What's
could
your
have-
claim? That America's going to be a fascist nation? Is that your claim?
No,
I mean, yeah, if you keep going down this road, that's kind of how it works. If you pick a certain ideology, if you perpetuate a certain culture, if you do that over time, the accumulation of that change over time will shift society. Yes, yeah, that's how it works.
claim is that Trump is causing a rise of fascism in our generation. And you know what? Sitting in this room proves it because you guys are all blind to the fact.
Because
you're
you haven't
blind
been
to the fact that
have
the
you been to the Middle East?
I'm
Have you
Syrian,
been
but
to
I
the-
haven't been to the
These aren't really great arguments from Mockler here, unfortunately.
Middle
They're
East.
not,
No.
Okay, have you been to this? Have you seen fascism in Syria when they're killing Christians just because of their faith?
I mean,
that's fascism.
someone
That's
just-
fascism.
someone
When you
just
kill
claimed-
people.
listen,
Is Trump killing
Someone
anyone?
just claimed that fascism can only mean Hitler or Mussolini. So now there's
No,
a
I'm
broader
saying-
definition.
no,
now
no,
you
no,
guys
no.
understand this.
No, no.
Okay, thank you. Thank God you guys understand it.
It means
Okay, wait.
fascism is attributed to those people because they killed people. They killed people.
that's not why it's fascism. Fascism will lead to the death or oppression. It's not necessarily one or the other of other people, because the motivation is to target other groups that are different and purify your society by purging them out of it. Targeting trans people, targeting immigrants. Diversity is bad. Multiculturalism is bad. You must assimilate. The blood of our country is impure, right? The Muslims are bad. The black people are bad. The Jews are bad. The Mexicans are bad. Everybody's fucking bad. The LGBT people are bad. That is the fascism. The fascism is we're going to target and blame every other ethnic group in our society, and we're going to try to either suppress them, oppress them, kill them, or purge them out of our society. That's the fascism. The death part is the final solution. It's the solution to, for them, what they consider to be the problem.
Trump is not killing
Fascism
anyone.
doesn't just mean you kill people.
I mean, he is killing people, by the way, right? The Doge thing that cut that funding led to, 600,000 dead people now, right? Maybe they don't think those people count because they're not Americans, I guess, or they're not white, but those are people that died. The Trump administration is killing immigrants that it has in detention facilities because they decided that just because the people are here illegally and working, they don't give a shit to treat them like human beings. They're just going to either kill them or torture them or deport them off to be slave labor for the rest of their lives, right? So they are killing people, And again, you look at right-wing violence, the statistics are very clear. Right-wing violence in the United States is the primary domestic political violence in the United States. It is.
It's one party signing everyone off, and they're trying to control
Do you
the
think if
whole
Donald
population.
Trump had it? Do you think if Donald Trump and Stephen Miller had it their way, they would let the Democratic Party exist, or do you think they would go after opponents, fundraising mechanisms, et cetera, et cetera? Which one?
No, what Trump is doing
Boss,
is
you've been eliminated by the group. You may return to the seat.
Thanks, AB.
Habibi.
Damn. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Adam.
Conservatives say that they're protecting women's sports from, transgender people and everything. But you see right here, the guys just get up and they don't even let the women compete for an opportunity to speak. Kind of sexist.
Ethan. So I want to get started with talking about how you're saying sitting in this room with all of us who are blind to the truth or whatever is proving your point about the rise of fascism. It seems
Not a great argument, to be honest with you. Unless you already agree with Adam here, it's not going to be convincing to people who are like, well, you need to actually prove that point that you're trying to make.
that you are doing exactly what people have been saying and applying this label needlessly to so many conservatives. Like,
I would just make this point very simply. Did you vote for Donald Trump? Everybody in this room is basically a Trump supporter. Yeah, you guys are fascists. I mean, you support... What do you call people who support fascism? They're called fascists. It is what it is. We need to kind of normalize. What I don't like is when I hear people go, "You're a fascist. You're a fascist. Fuck the fascists." Right? They're at the protests and stuff. Like I go to those. I've gone to these protests and everything. I just don't like it for rhetorical reasons. Not because they're wrong, but it just doesn't come off. It loses the oomph. You know what I mean? I like to call them fascists. I like to point out this is fascism, but I'm able to kind of like make the case for that in a very like pithy way, right? Yeah, you guys are like you're supporting fascism. Fascism's motivated by like nationalism and trying to purge the country, and it's characterized by authoritarianism. You guys support like a leader who doesn't want to have any political opposition, who doesn't want to have any checks and balances on him. And the entire motivation behind it is because like you want to purge society of immigrants and Muslims and transgender people. That's fascism.
Like painting with a broad brush. And
the brush is pretty specific. I mean, it's broad, but it's pretty specific. It's if you support fascism, you're a fascist. That could be 30% of the population. It could be 10% of the population. Where do we have this modern belief that fascism could only be 1% of the 2% of the population? If it could only ever be that small percentage, then how did it rise during World War II? How did it rise during that time period? If it could only, we can only fathom that we're only allowed a ration of like 3% of the population being fat. Once you try to get over 3%, like nature, you know, like the equilibrium, there's not enough resources in the economy to support all that fascism. No, it could be 30% of the population. It could be 90. I don't know what the percentage it could theoretically be, but like, yeah, it could be 30% of the population, which would be like the Republican Party. It was that way in every fascist regime that existed in the past, right? Like they had to reach a large enough number to have enough support to be a thing. It happens.
It makes me wonder if you really use fascism in like how the word means, or if you're using it as like a manipulation technique to silence opposition.
My intention is never ever to paint an entire party as fascist or.
I would, 100%. The entire Republican Party is fascist. It is. There comes a point where it's not just incidental. You had enough time to kind of assess the evidence. You have enough people in the party all kind of like have already expressed their support for the particular figure in the party who is being fascistic. Yes, the party is fascistic.
Or anyone in this room is fascist. I don't think anyone is. But I think that there is a blindness and there is a normalization of fascism. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Was the 2020 election stolen or was it not? Was it legit?
This isn't the best example because this might sound weird. Whether or not the election was stolen or not, whether you believe that, it is not fascism. Fascism is, again, authoritarian nationalism. Maybe he'll weave this back in somehow. I'm kind of curious because I'm not seeing it as a good... it's a good question to ask in general. It's a very important debate topic. I just don't know if it's going to advance this particular argument.
I'm not sure, but can I ask you a question?
No, that scares me. Listen,
do you think elections can be stolen?
Let me finish my point.
Do you think it's impossible for elections to be stolen?
Okay, see, here's the problem. Because, do you notice, now we're not talking about whether or not Trump's fascist now. Now we're going to be talking about whether or not the election was actually stolen and all their stupid fucking conspiracies.
Of course, but in the United States, Donald Trump then took 60 court cases, 60 cases of election fraud. He lost every single one.
But this doesn't advance the point of whether or not Donald Trump is fascist. You're allowed to debate, election, or you're allowed to question it. You're allowed to challenge it in the courts. That itself is not the fascism. Now, I would make the argument, Adam probably can make the argument too, that the fascistic part of that is what that particular narrative is being used for. And it's not the narrative itself, it's what the narrative is in service to. And it's in service to manufacturing consent to steal an election to mount the authoritarian part of the fascism.
Went through the courts legally?
After he went through the courts legally, what he did is that didn't work. So then he called election officials, Brad Raffensperger from Georgia. Have you heard this phone call?
I have, yeah.
He said...
Okay, I'm surprised. I'll take the L on this. The Mockler strikes again. He was able to weave it back in a way that even I couldn't anticipate.
You find me 11,000 votes. After that didn't work, he tried a fake.
I think you're
Wait, no,
speculating a lot on what he meant on that phone call.
Okay, but then after that,
I think quite the contrary. I think every time you guys are caught in a lie or something, I think you start inventing the most absurd interpretation of what people are thinking. Because what they'll do, implicitly, and this usually doesn't get called out, is, how do you know exactly what Donald Trump meant when he made that phone call? Well, it's interesting because you seem to be assuming that he didn't mean it that way. So it's interesting how you could read minds or not read minds, and it's always kind of just depends on how you're going to defend the Republican Party.
he tried a fake elector scheme. You've heard of this, right? He tried to gather fake electors in 7 states to override the real electors. After that, it didn't work. January 6th happened.
But what he's doing here, this is exactly what you want to be doing. He is taking advantage of the stage that he has. Again, super duper important. Do not let them run away with the narrative. Adam is making his point. He is getting his narrative across.
And I know everyone's going to sigh at this, but do you know what was happening inside the Capitol on January 6th?
What was happening?
Well, do you know what was happening inside the Capitol?
They were like ratifying or affirming like the election.
Mike Pence was certifying the results of the election.
Thank you.
And what were the people chanting outside? There was a group of people chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." So wait, when Trump, wait, let me finish. When Trump said the election was stolen before it even happened, and then he stood on stage when 50% of the votes were counted and said,
"This is good." This argument structure is not like a deductive style argument. Let me explain. He is not saying like, "Oh, Donald Trump verbatim literally said like, I want to steal the election, and I don't mean that figurative. I mean it literally, right?" That would be like, okay, this specific fact here just logically, perfectly, 100% means the conclusion I'm trying to reach. Instead, the style of argument that he's using here, it's not a bad one, it's underrated, I think, is you're building up a pattern. None of these individual elements in a vacuum might be the most persuasive, but it's the collection of those things that start to resolve a pattern. This might be a little bit nerdy, but the way that your eyes kind of construct your model of what you're seeing out in the world is like it's a like an interpolative, almost like an AI, your brain machine learning patterns. You see patterns, you notice patterns. You don't even realize that you do this until you're looking at optical illusions. And optical illusions are kind of starting to trick some of those like little algorithmic or circuitual ways that your eyes and your brains are wired in order for you to have the acuity to make out the different patterns in the world. Because otherwise, it's all just random fucking colors, and you don't discern that this is a tree, and the tree is separate from the ground, and the ground is separate from the sky. It's just all colors just splattered in front of you. Patterns do work. They do work as an argument. You don't just need to, you don't only have to make deductive arguments. You can lay out a fact pattern that shows like, okay, all of these things taken collectively in context very clearly show a pattern that everybody can recognize. And honestly, if you're not going to recognize it, you look dishonest. You know, sometimes it's good to make an argument to the average like common person is like a common sense argument where you don't have to get MAGA to agree to something. They won't. You don't have to get them to like catch them in a contradiction or anything. You can just simply convince the audience by showing the audience like, look at all this shit, bro. Look at all this shit. And this guy right here wants you, like he wants you to believe that there's nothing there. Sometimes you can rely on that intuition, that like that little tingle in the back of your mind that allows human beings to go from simply observing the world to making hypotheses, to being creatures that are able to see patterns, imagine things, and, you know, form connections. That works. And when they're going to deny such a clear fact pattern, that makes it kind of points out that they're full of shit.
I won this election, and then he calls election officials, and then on January 6th, the day they're certifying the vote, people write.
Because you know they're going to do this, by the way. What they're going to want to do on any of these arguments is they're going to whittle down on one specific little nitpick, and it's cherry picked. It's meant to focus all of your attention, like your eyeballs, away from the pattern to a little messed up pixel on the screen, a nitpick, so that you don't see the larger overall pattern that's going on. Don't let them do that.
Getting the point.
Okay, so do you get what I'm saying?
I think I get what you.
And now I'm sitting in a room of people who don't even know if
can
it
I
was
speak
stolen
for
or
a
not.
second?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about that report that came out showing that there was like 274 FBI informants in the crowd on January 6th?
No.
I think that it's
This is a good question. It's a dishonest question, maybe not by him, but by the media apparatus that has laid that narrative out. You had FBI within the crowd because the FBI was tracking domestic terrorists that they know were showing up for this event. I don't know. I don't know if you guys remember this. I think most people should remember this. Did everybody just kind of forget that in the lead up to January 6th, everybody saw right-wingers online talking about how they wanted a revolution, talking about how they wanted to overthrow the country, talking about how, Donald Trump is going to cross the Rubicon Dawn. What do they mean by all that? What do they mean by all this, like 1776, the Second Amendment? Everybody saw them talking about this, right? We don't have to pretend otherwise.
It's hilarious that Trump sent out a tweet saying Biden's FBI did that when it was Trump's FBI.
So, I'm sorry, just to circle back here. So the FBI is there because you have people that were talking about wanting to overthrow the country, people that are members of militia groups in domestic terrorist organizations, the Three Percenters, the Proud Boys, all these little white nationalist cells. You have all these by the way, a lot of the people who got charged with crimes in January 6th had like a record on them, right? So all these people are showing up with bad intentions. Why the fuck wouldn't the FBI be there? Wouldn't it be like an abdication of the responsibility for them to not be there? This is posed in a way that makes it sound more suspicious than it is. Did anybody tell? Why didn't anybody tell you that actually there was 500 FBI agents at January 6th? No one, the media doesn't want you to know that. You're telling me. Let me get this for a second. You're telling me that at an event where people are talking about showing up to overturn an election, and we know that members that are going to do it have been talking about having a violent revolution, you're telling me that members of the FBI were there monitoring them? That's crazy. What the fuck? No way.
Okay.
Wait, whose FBI
Trump's
was that?
FBI, the same FBI that literally colluded against him with Russiagate.
No. Whose FBI was this in 2020?
It was
2021.
I mean, it was the FBI under Trump. But
Okay, so it was the
had no
FBI under
allegiance to
Trump. So how do you feel about Trump's FBI doing that then?
How do you feel about the whole Russiagate thing that the FBI peddled to?
Russiagate, there was elements of, there's really not any element of untruth in it. The report that came out from the government is truthful. The other stuff that was in the Steele dossier that led up to that investigation, most of it wasn't it either wasn't true or there wasn't really anything there to kind of go off of. But elements of the Russiagate thing were true. I don't know if people know this, but people were actually indicted for actual crimes. Members of the Trump campaign were actually working as foreign agents. That actually happened. Members of the Trump campaign in 2016 actually met with Russian officials, or not officials, I'm sorry, Russian agents. And I think it was at Trump Hotel. That actually happened. And people don't know about this because the narrative now is just Russia hoax. That is not the same thing as saying that Donald Trump definitively, clearly worked with Russia in order to steal the election. But yes, Russian agents did meet with Trump's campaign. That did happen. And there were members of Trump's campaign that were foreign agents that weren't declared, and they committed a crime. There's a nugget of truth in that. It doesn't, it doesn't mean that Trump himself was guilty of stealing the election with Russia, but it doesn't have to mean that. Other things could have happened, and other things did happen.
Try and frame a sitting president for treason, dude.
What's your source for this?
Dude,
Call me old-fashioned, but I think that when you try to steal the election from the American people, when you try to steal our government from us, I think you committed treason. And I'm typically not the kind of person that, anyways.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard is
the
your
director
source.
of National
Donald Trump doesn't even trust Tulsi Gabbard to be inside on some of these Iran conversations.
Dude, the director of
Donald
National
Trump...
Intelligence, who's over the CIA and FBI, did a press conference and released a bunch of documents, and she said,
I've
"Hey,
read
here's
the
what we found
documents. They
about."
don't say what she says they said. Donald
They
Trump had 4 years
absolutely
during his
do.
first term. No, they did not. There was no Russia collusion.
There-
Donald Trump
found
was not
no
pinned.
credible evidence that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia.
Yeah, but we knew that already. Oh, that was a good frame to stop on. Like, has this guy been like drinking Kool-Aid for like the past 6 or 7 years? The Mueller investigation wrapped up, what was in the first or second year of the Trump 1.0 administration. The Mueller investigation said that. The media reported that they said that. If you don't know that the media reported that, hey, the Mueller investigation wrapped up, some of the members of the Trump campaign were guilty of some things, but we don't actually have any evidence that Donald Trump himself was involved in anything. If you don't know that, it's because the media that you consume purposely didn't tell you that.
To influence the 2016 election.
Literally,
and they
his
pursued
campaign
that for
manager-
years and years to try to frame him for treason, dude.
His campaign manager was literally arrested for colluding with the Russians at one point in 2016.
Yes,
I wouldn't say
good.
Trump did, but the Tulsi Gabbard report that you're citing is.
Oh, I would force him on this issue. Do you acknowledge that a member of the Trump campaign team was indicted on being a foreign agent? Like, I just want to know, like, can you acknowledge that? And they'll try to dart around it, but keep them there. Keep them on that point, because again, it shows to the audience that this person is dishonest. They're not willing to actually admit the truth of what the Mueller investigation actually said. And if that's going to be the case, then who's really the person that's doing the Russia hoax? If you're not willing to actually be truthful and acknowledge the truth on it, and I am, what does that say about you?
Is not saying what you think it says.
I mean, it's in the documents that she released. People can read it for themselves.
Yeah.
And
Let's talk about documents then. We're right here. We have the platform. Let's do it. What are you afraid of?
furthermore, it's not just that, but you had like the deputy director of the FBI.
Wait, so who tried to pin Trump for treason? Like, who exactly was this?
Good,
You got to be
question.
specific with your claim.
It was the FBI and the CIA and former Obama administration officials that were investigating the Trump campaign.
But they exonerated him. What do you mean? What are you talking about? They did all that investigation, and those same exact entities decided we don't have anything here that's showing that he's guilty of anything. So, you know, it is what it is.
Leading up to the election.
You've been eliminated.
So
by
it's
the
like
majority.
just
That was
literally
a great
not true.
conversation. Thanks.
Just demonstrably not true.
Hey there, Adam.
How you doing?
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you.
Miguel.
Nice to meet you, Miguel.
All right. Well, I guess I have a few questions.
I can't let it get away with that. That's like saying quesadilla right there. It's Miguel, okay? It's not even that Latin, to be honest with you. Like, you have Miguels in Europe. It's not Miguel. Come on now.
Sir, I want to start with, you seem to be kind of in newsland, and I kind of want to come back down to reality.
Sure.
So I'm a college student at UC Berkeley.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a student, it's documented online on Instagram, come up to me after class, vaguely threaten me, and say a bunch of stuff.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
Sorry about
university
that.
does absolutely nothing.
You know what I would do whenever they try to bring up an anecdote like this? The great thing about anecdotes is that anybody can fucking cite an anecdote. So if people want to use anecdotes, punish them for it. I don't mean like literally punish. I mean, when people are engaged in bad faith debate tactics, punish them for it until they correct the behavior. You know, you gotta Caesar Milan it. Oh, you were harassed for being a conservative and threatening everything. Huh, me too. Me too, actually. I get harassed online by Trump supporters who say shit to me all the time. Okay. Like, do you want to just do this all day? You give an example, I give an example, and we just go back and forth. One time, a Trump supporter said, I better watch myself. Okay, your turn. You pick up, and then we just go back and forth until one of us runs out of examples to give.
I filed a report, I did everything. Wasn't even removed from my classes. And this is all documented and up online. So I, as a student, don't have the freedom to go share my opinions. Charlie Kirk,
You do. Guess what? I don't have the freedom to express my opinion at work. I can't do it. And a lot of times I've worked with people who disagree with me, and they don't have any problem being obnoxious about their beliefs, but if I were to state my beliefs, we would have a problem. So, yeah, there are millions of people in the country. You're going to have bad interactions with people. What does that actually tell you about like what's going on at a larger systemic leadership level? That's what I want to talk about. If you want to go on anecdotes, we can do this anecdote stupid game all day.
The day Charlie Kirk died, we requested security. The university turned down our request for security. These are the real.
Maybe you didn't need security. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're overreacting. You know, I'm sorry, but like it does happen. I'm sure that there are liberal students that get all, you know, I need security because these Trump supporters make me feel uncomfortable. Okay, I'm sorry. You know, the security can't, you know, chaperone everybody that has a bad experience with other people.
Real example.
It doesn't really mean anything.
Of fascism that we see every single day.
Are you trying to equate one random?
No.
Wait, no.
Yes, you are. Yeah, you are.
Are you trying to equate one random college student who I condemn, who I think is with Donald Trump using his power to try to consolidate as...
I would ask him this question. Is fascism when like random people on the streets are mean to each other or hurt each other or assault each other? Is that what fascism is? Because I always thought fascism was actually like a government, like an actual political party, like an actual leader. I didn't realize fascism was when I didn't realize in Nazi Germany the whole thing was not that like there was this guy called Hitler who like led an entire country, like went to war, like systemically genocided a bunch of people. I thought fascism was like there was one time this guy in Weimar Republic who told a Jewish guy, like, you're smelly and I don't like you. Like, I thought that was what, you know, I don't know. I went to school in Alabama. They didn't really teach history like they do in California. You know what I mean?
No, you're not. Okay, so what are you trying to say?
So I'm trying to say that there's a system of the university here that's set up against conservative.
By system, do you mean one student?
No, I mean that there's a system that I reported this person to and nothing happened.
And that's fascism to you.
This is part and parcel. Well, it's stifling conservative speech on campuses. And my point here is...
I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what the claim is. And the whole thing about these kinds of things is it's like, how do I know you're not just making shit up or that your impression of events is like exaggerated? Like maybe it did happen to you. Honestly, I'll give that to you. Maybe it did happen to you. That sucks. I'm sorry to hear it. Whatever. I don't respect you because you're a conservative, but like, you know, it's your right to express your opinion, whatever. But like, I'm not going to grant you that. Okay, I'm not going to. I'm sorry, because if we just grant that style of argument, then everybody could just make shit up randomly. Okay, you got to give me something tangible. You got to give me something that you can prove. You got to give me something more than me just being able to look at the thing that you give me and go, bro, I don't know if you're actually telling the truth or not. And I'm not going to grant it to you because you have an incentive to lie here. So like, you're going to have to give me shit that you can actually prove.
20 election, the suppression of the Hunter Biden story. I don't think the election was actually... You know, ballots were thrown in and it was rigged. I don't believe that.
So you think it? So wait, you do or you don't? Sorry,
I do not believe that.
You don't?
I do not.
What do you guys think his what he actually believes here? Because he's a free-thinking, original person who does his own research. So I think what he's going to say here is that, I don't think the election was actually stolen. I think that actually it's just that Democrats like had all these rules for voting and they did all these like last-minute rules for voting because of the pandemic, and they used that in order to like unfairly have an advantage. Because he's an original, you know, he thinks for himself kind of guy. You know what I mean?
Election was stolen. There's probably a few people here who disagree with you. Does that worry you at all?
I think it's slightly worrying, but
it's slightly worrying that people think the.
Oh, come on, give him a chance to say what he actually thinks, because I want to see if I'm right or wrong on this one.
Stolen because they were
I think it's much more concerning
president.
that when I table on my campus, I have students telling me that Charlie Kirk deserved to die, throwing up L's in my face, laughing at me.
That's terrible, but you...
Hey, you know what? You don't want that culture? You guys made it. You guys made us this culture. Like, let's just keep it $1.50 and let's remind them every single time. You wanted political correctness to end. You wanted this coarsening of discourse in politics. You wanted to make it okay for your side, for Trump, for your leaders and everything, to dehumanize people, to like, you know, threaten them, to give them the worst names, to, you know, basically call them stupid and degenerate and all this other shit, right? You wanted all this. You wanted the R word to come back. You wanted to, you know, bully and harass like trans people, all that shit. I'm sorry, you're not fucking immune from that, motherfucker. This is your bed, okay? I'm the Sandman. I'm coming here to sprinkle some of those L's over your eyes.
You can't equate one or a few random students.
You're equating.
Listen, the president of the United States convinced a large portion of the country the election was stolen when it wasn't. So I highly condemn these random. Okay, I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
You're saying.
I appreciate these arguments from the Mockler here, but I just feel like from this conversation, and I'll keep coming back to this point, does the public have a better understanding what fascism is, how to look out for it, and, you know, why it's bad from a conversation like that? Because I don't think they do. I don't think people understand that fascism is authoritarian nationalism.
Mean that this is fascism. Can you provide your definition of mine is nullified?
This is small scale. So I would say there's a few definitions, and I think all of them are.
Do you like mine?
Fascism is actually when liberals and the woke mob and the Marxists and the septum piercing ladies and the cat ladies and the tranny people, it's when they do a thing. The problem with asking him to give his definition of fascism, well, if you're good, you'll ask them for your definition. You'll be prepared to like dismantle their definition very quickly, or show that it's counterintuitive, or I'm sorry, contradictory, or show that you actually meet your own definition of it. But I think it's a better argument to not let them just kind of reframe and redefine things, and for you instead to make the affirmative claim, the affirmative position, and then back it up. Because the thing is, we have the benefit of actually having the stats on our side, having the definitions on our side, having the historical record on our side, having academia on our side, not because we were in a conspiracy to deep state take over academia, but just because, frankly fucking speaking, I'm sorry, but science, reality favors us, and actually it's kind of the other way around. We favor reality and science, and you don't. You're tied to a book that's 3,000 billion fucking years old, written by people who didn't even know what electricity actually was.
Can you repeat your character? Actually, I want to pause because you wanted to talk about the rise of fascism,
go for
and
it.
that's what I have the
In
biggest
our
problem
generation.
with. Because your claim isn't that Trump is a fascist. Your claim is that Trump has contributed to the rise of fascism.
Yeah, that's
why
better.
do
Yeah,
Both.
all the fascist people in American politics hate Donald Trump? Why did Fuentes not vote for Donald Trump?
Fuentes doesn't vote for Donald Trump, but if you actually pay attention to what Fuentes says, he doesn't like liberals. He doesn't like the Democratic Party. He wishes Donald Trump was more right-wing than he actually is. And Nick Fuentes associates with all the people on the right. What does that tell you?
Why did
Richard Spencer support Donald Trump in 2016? Why do you have these neo-Nazi group chats in the conservative, young conservative, the future of the conservative movement, little organizations, right? Why is Elon Musk doing a Nazi salute at an inauguration, right?
the people who are openly claiming, Mehdi Hassan, you saw that Jubilee surrounded.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Why?
And that, thank you for bringing, I don't even know why you'd bring that up for, but yeah, thank you for bringing up that example too.
All these people who are openly admitting that they're fascist, why does not a single one of them support Donald Trump?
But they did. What are you talking about? That Jubilee surrounded, most of the people there supported Donald Trump, or their whole thing was that they thought Donald Trump wasn't going far enough.
They are openly admitting that they're fascist, and a lot of them do support Donald Trump, number one. The people in that episode were conservatives, number one. But
this is where you turn to the camera, you break the fourth wall, and you ask the audience, who do you believe? You believe that this guy, that the fascists in the United States don't support Donald Trump, or do you think they support Donald Trump? I kind of think that they support Donald Trump, but I don't know. I'm a silly guy. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But number
conservative,
two,
not Republican. They don't vote Republican.
But also, what about the Politico story that really?
They didn't vote Republican until Donald Trump. That's a little secret from political science, if you're aware of the statistics on it. They didn't vote for the Republican Party until Donald Trump came along, and he was able to swoop up those reluctant conservative voters. And the thing that motivated them to come out, the thing that united the party, consider this for a minute, just appreciate this for a minute. Donald Trump united the Republican Party. They had the Tea Party element, you had the neocon element, you had these neo-Nazis who were kind of reluctant to support the party. Who united the party? Who brought all these people together? What was the thing that brought them all together? It was the anti-immigrant rhetoric. That was the thing. That was the thing that united them. It was the nationalism.
Okay,
did you
now
read
we're
that?
changing the point.
No,
okay,
no.
I understand. You need to change the point. That's
I'm
all
not
right.
changing the point. You
This
asked.
is.
No. You asked me, unless you want to contain it to one Jubilee
Let's
episode.
go to the.
Let me finish. Unless you want to contain the people we're talking about to one Jubilee episode, young people, not only young Republicans, but young conservatives, sure, they are turning to fascism at a high rate. Do you condemn what was in that group chat?
What group chat? Oh, the YR
Politico
group
chat.
Yeah. I would personally condemn what was said in that group chat.
And what was said in that group chat? Wait. Can you tell?
What is that all about? Why do they do these weird things? I would personally condemn what was in the. Why do you even add that to there? What are you saying? The conservative movement overall shouldn't condemn it? Well, I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit of a different conservative. I don't speak for the whole conservative movement. Well, what the fuck does that say then, right?
Tell me what was said in that group chat.
Yeah, so they describe black people as watermelon people. They said they love Hitler. They said a lot of things.
Wait, what do they say about gas chambers?
They said if you don't vote for me, you're getting sent to the gas chamber.
Okay, wait a minute. And these weren't just young Republicans. These were like 20, 30,
Yes.
40 year olds,
Okay, can I
correct?
respond?
No, these were 20, 30, 40.
Which, by the way, you talk about grooming. You have like these youth groups that Republicans are setting up all over the country. They're training moms to go into like your school board meetings so that they could start choosing what kind of things your kids are allowed to learn, to start shifting the kind of like curriculum and the books that they're allowed to have in there. They have like TPUSA that specifically targets college kids, made up of like led by like this 40-year-old fucking gummy motherfucker. You got like this conservative youth group. I don't even know what the fuck this other one was. Like you have all these youth groups. This one is made up where they have like 30-year-old neo-Nazis that are organizing and putting it together and like leading them and everything. Talk about grooming, right?
40-year-olds, and some of them were state senators.
Yeah.
So younger people seem to be inclined towards fascism. You can respond now. Sorry.
Okay, younger people seem to be inclined toward fascism. Yes, and all these people don't like.
In fact, I think what was there was an article recently, I think it was The Atlantic, that did some interviews with young conservatives, and like the majority of the young conservatives in there said that they had like a more preferable view of Hitler in like Nazi Germany and shit. It is wild. It's fucking crazy, but yeah, I mean that. There's another study that came out recently where you had like, if you break down conservatives by like age bracket, the like older boomer conservatives are like they believe your typical mainstream narrative on the Holocaust, and then you look at like Zoomer conservatives and like 25% of them or something are like Holocaust deniers now. It went from like, I don't know, from like 5% to like 25%. How do you get like a 5x increase over such a short span of time, unless like your party is like normalizing fascism?
Like Donald Trump.
Those were young Republicans,
Let me
dude.
finish speaking, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a reaction.
You've been eliminated by the group.
All right, thank you.
That was great. Ooh.
Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Wait, isn't this the girl who was like proud to be a fascist in the Mehdi Hassan debate? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, we just had a whole argument over whether or not there's a rise in fascism on the conservative side, and then, like, are we for real? Are we for real right now? What the fuck? You know what? I think we might actually be in a simulation. This is silly.
Hi, I'm Sarah. So
It is. That is her, bro. Like, even the Star Wars writers can't write shit that's this on the nose and silly. Like, what the fuck?
well, I'm a lot more concerned about the rise of violent left-wing rhetoric among Gen Z than so-called fascism, because I'm sorry, if you think like that chat was any sort, like that meant that...
If you think a chat where the people are praising Hitler and neo-Nazism and talking about how cool it is, if you think that's bad, yeah, I do think that's bad. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Fascism is on the rise. It's like you've never been at Call of Duty lobby. Like, it's...
What does that say about the Call of Duty lobby? You know what I mean? Like, and I get what she's actually trying to say. She's trying to say, oh, they're just being edgy. They're just joking around. If all you ever joke about is just constantly like, huh, I'm a Nazi. Huh, Hitler's cool, right? After a while, it's just kind of like, I don't think you're joking. Or you're trying to use jokes as a way to alleviate the tension that you know exists for you engaging in extremist ideology.
It's called making...
It's a way of putting the pill, like hiding the pill in the sausage. You know what I mean?
edgy jokes, okay?
Wait a minute. You make those types of jokes?
I don't personally, but...
No, because she's not joking when she says it.
Like, that's
Okay.
like every young man ever
Wait, do any
has
of
like...
you-
Probably all the young men that you hang out with because you guys have normalized it. That's what I think.
made a joke
Raise
like
your
that.
hand if...
I've made a joke like that, but like in context, you could tell I'm joking. I've made a joke like that, but actually, I don't do that all the time. I don't actually support any fascists. I don't have any ideologies or ideas that I support that are like fascistic adjacent. People can tell when you're joking. People can tell when there's a pattern of behavior.
You make those
Private,
types
let's
of
be
jokes.
For real. Like,
Okay, so no one will actually admit it because it's kind of weird to make those types of jokes.
everyone makes those types, and that means you have like
I
no
don't.
male friends if you've like never
No.
been in a room where people
My
like,
male friends
say
tell-
the N-word as a joke. Like,
Who says the N-word as a joke? What the fuck, bro? Like, I can imagine that there might be an N-word joke that's pretty funny. I mean, look at the South Park episode. With all respect to Jesse Jackson, whatever it was. That's a good joke. That's a good ass joke. But like, I'm just gonna say the N-word and that's the joke. Because I think actually the joke there isn't the N-word. I think the joke there is that you can get away with it. I think that's actually what the joke is. The joke there is that you're normalizing it.
It's
No,
like
my male
everyone
friends-
does that, and you know it's true. And it's like, if
No,
not, you're probably
not
surrounded
everyone.
by, like,
Not really.
homosexuals.
And also, like, you grow the fuck up after a while, and like you find other things to joke about other than just like, huh, N-word, huh, gas the Jews, huh, I like Hitler. You know, there's other stuff to joke about. And if that's all you can fucking do to socialize with your friends, it's kind of sus, bro.
Okay, my male friends and I tell each other to like kill themselves. We do funny stuff.
Okay. Oh, that's so shocking. Oh my gosh. she's
Okay,
like,
but we don't
it's a
say-
joke.
we don't say
and the difference
off to the
is
gas
that,
chamber.
The difference is that young leftists genuinely worshipped the murder of Charlie Kirk and Luigi Mangione, who are people committing genuine acts.
I mean, I don't really think this is true. I mean, I have a lot of progressive left-wing friends, like legitimately, not like liberal, but like actual left-wing, friends and whatnot. I haven't seen anyone actually like say, like celebrate his murder. People said that he is a piece of shit and that the world's a better place without him, but that's not the same thing. I mean, it's just not. It's really not the same thing.
Acts of violence, and they genuinely condone that. So that's the big.
That's the thing, though. That's not the same thing, and that's the important point of why it's not the same thing. I'm not condoning murder and death and extrajudicial killing, but like, yeah, the world's a better place without Hitler. Yeah, the world's a better place without Jeffrey Dahmer. Yeah, the world's a better place without Pol Pot, right? Does that mean that I think people should randomly kill each other? No, it's not. But like, it's the truth. Like, the world's a better place without some people. Some people are shitty people. I don't know what you want me to tell you. They are. I mean, and you guys believe this, by the way, because you guys believe in having the death penalty as a power that the state has. So the idea that you think all death is bad is absurd. Like, we don't even have that standard. We don't even want the state to go around killing people, but you guys do. We're just saying if someone does happen to die, right? You shouldn't kill people. If someone does happen to die and they're a piece of shit, then the world's a better fucking place without them. You know, the world's also a better place without, who is that disc jockey? Rush Limbaugh? The world's a better place without him. Sorry.
Big difference, because I mean, I saw literally graffiti on college campuses saying "kill all Charlie Kirks." They are inciting violence, and that is a totally like normalized thing to.
I want to see this graffiti. Again, don't take their word for it, because anyone can make up a random anecdote that has no evidence behind it. And these guys, they love to exaggerate, they love to lie. Do not take for granted that they're even telling you a real story. Ask them for evidence.
To say.
And even more importantly, like, let's talk about actual like systemic issues, because some random graffiti that you found, okay, some random bad person in a country that has 340 million fucking people, some of them are going to be bad apples. Remember, we talked about that with the police. Doesn't mean everybody is, okay? I want to actually talk about leadership and structures.
Like, okay. Celebrate the fact, and
because that affects everybody. That affects a massive amount of people. That doesn't just affect one or two people. And by the way, if you're threatening people, if you're harassing people, if you're doing graffiti and shit, that shit's already illegal. It's supposed to be illegal, and we enforce against it. What's not cool, though, and what we're not enforcing against, is when you have political leadership who's actually encouraging violence. That shouldn't be happening.
that's serious. And the political group chat was a joke, and you know that.
Okay, so your concession is that, you know, people talk like fascists in private sometimes, but you're worried that leftists are using increasingly violent rhetoric, like the people that you were talking about.
Because
Luigi
one thing
Mangione
is
supporters.
serious.
By the way, like, we don't even have to use like group chats where they're like semi-joking, right? And maybe they are, I don't know, but I just don't believe it with these people. Again, there's a pattern. There's a pattern of behavior here. And if you're voting for Donald Trump, if you've normalized all this shit for the past 10 years, if you're obsessed with immigrants and diversity and multiculturalism and DEI, like, there's a pattern there, okay? So I'm sorry, I just can't take you at your word that you're only joking. But that's on you. That really is on you. You set up that pattern of behavior. that's fucking on you, bro. If you're someone who's like constantly joking about diddling kids, like, that's a good analogy, by the way. If you're someone who's always joking about diddling kids, you know, one time every now and then, you know, when it's topically makes sense, you know, when the situation just kind of gives you a layup right there, you know, like, okay, we can kind of look at the context there. If you're always joking about diddling kids, let's be real here. Everybody else would think that you're actually a pedophile because you seem like you really like to fucking talk about it a lot, don't you? It's kind of weird.
And one thing is a joke.
Okay, I want to ask you one thing. Did one Democratic politician support what Luigi did? Can you name any actual Democratic politician?
Good.
No, but it doesn't
Okay,
matter
so
because
on the other...
It does matter. Yeah.
You're talking about the rise in the generation. You're not talking about politicians in their speech. You're
I am
about the
talking
rise.
about politicians as well.
Technically, you know what? That is kind of a fair point and fair argument, but you could always make the argument, and it is true. I think these people are trying to pretend that it's otherwise. And you can always call them out on this point. Leadership sets the tone. Leadership gives a sense of what is permissible. It gives permission. It gives institutional power behind that. And so those things, they feed each other in a cycle. And they know this, by the way. They believe in this because they want to purge wokeism and DI and CRT out of society. Why do they want to do that? Because they actually do believe that the media is able to influence people. That's why they throw a fucking fit over the mainstream media all the time. And about, you know, the mainstream media is biased and it's unfair and the universities are unfair and they're biased, right? Because you guys believe that these institutions, this leadership sets the tone for the rest of society and starts to kind of steer things in that direction. So like, I'm not going to let you have it both ways. Other people may not catch on to that contradiction, that little hypocrisy that you guys do there. But I do, and I'm not going to let you get away with that bullshit. And if you're watching this, don't let them get away with that fucking bullshit, okay?
Also, on the other side...
now you're...
No. Let me clarify.
What about young leftists? What about the violence that young leftists
Let me
condone?
clarify very, very quickly.
That's
so you're
way
trying to
more
point to
widespread,
young
you know it.
leftists on the left, but on the right, there are politicians in power.
Yes,
people like Stephen
good.
Miller, who says the Democratic Party is a domestic extremist organization. Caroline Levitt, just the other day, as I said that the entire base is Hamas terrorists and criminals. So when you have people in power on...
Yeah, you know what? Like, I don't even know if you brought this up in this context earlier, but when they're complaining about, oh, you guys call people fascists and that's not okay because some people might, you know, shoot somebody. You're calling everybody on the left Hamas? You're calling them all terrorists? Which has a more, like, direct line connotation to these are people that need to be dealt with violence? You're a fascist? Or... this person is a terrorist? Which one? Which one do you, right?
On the right, wait. They're using this rhetoric and normalizing it that goes downstream.
Yeah,
so
and you have
when
left-wing media like MSNBC cheering backstage when Charlie Kirk was murdered.
Wait, you think...
You don't get to just make shit up, okay, bro? You don't get to just... I know everybody else is making fun of me behind my back because I'm paranoid. No, bro, you need to fucking prove it. You guys throw a goddamn hissy fit when anybody says Donald Trump wanted his insurrectionists to insurrect the government, right? Oh, we can't read his mind and we don't really know what he meant when he made that phone call. We didn't really know exactly what he meant. But then you got, again, see, this is what I was talking about. That's that hypocrisy right there. That same thing. When they want to, they can't know other people's intentions. No one can really know what goes on in someone's mind. But when they don't want to, when they're characterizing the left, liberals, I don't have any evidence, but I just know that they're doing it behind the scenes. Oh, and I'm supposed to shift society. I'm supposed to shift our government. I'm supposed to shift policy based on your bitch ass feelings? Fuck you.
I think people are being murdered because of MSNBC. You think
Yes,
MSNBC is
because-
radical?
yes, I do.
You think MSNBC is radical?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think is radicalizing more people?
I would ask her, what is the most radical thing that MSNBC has said in the last year? Because I bet you anything, this motherfucker hasn't seen anything from MSNBC in the last year. And it's just a holdover argument, talking points that come from 2016 that they still haven't graduated for. The world has changed.
People, Nick Fuentes or MSNBC?
Probably MSNBC.
Really?
Yeah.
More so?
You know, you don't even have to say anything. Her statement right there. Sometimes you guys got to know this. You got to know when a win is a win. You got to know when an L is an L. Her saying that right there to most people sounds fucking ridiculous. That's the kind of thing where you just look at the camera and go, her words. Her words, not mine.
Fuentes. I hear someone laughing behind me. That's kind of, But also, there is a fundamental difference between people in power using rhetoric and random leftists. Listen, I'm a young liberal. And
Don Lemon just told people to shoot ICE agents. Don Lemon just told illegal brown people to grab guns so they can shoot ICE agents when they show up at their door.
All right, let's look this up. I'm surprised Jubilee's not even doing a fact. This is super salacious. Don Lemon guns ICE. Don Lemon tells black brown people to arm themselves. Fox News. Okay. When did this come out? 10/17. Has no one done like a fact check on this? To arm themselves against ICE. So let's see what he said here. Gunfight at the OK Corral. Okay. Gun sparked fear of the MAGA movement. All right, let's click this one. Let's see what it says. Oh, that's fucking bright. Okay, the journalist, former CNN anchor, had suggested on podcast The Left Hook with Wajahat Ali that black people, brown people of all stripes should legally get a gun in case their homes were visited. He also added he was not condoning or promoting violence. So, spark fear after such people arm themselves in case of visit by U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement agents. Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, I'm sorry, but this is the party of the Second Amendment. This is the goddamn party of the Second Amendment, and we need to arm ourselves in case of a tyrannical government. And now they're telling you that you shouldn't have the right to arm yourself in case anybody, whether it be the state, whether it be, other random fucking people, try to, like, barge into your house and try to, like, infringe on your rights. Like, this might sound a little bit weird and crazy, but it's actually 100% true. Members of the government do not have the right to simply barge into your house and threaten your life. That's not a real thing if you're a U.S. citizen. Now, that shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. They have things like no-knock raids, which, are pretty iffy, pretty sketchy. And we've seen stories of, police showing up at the wrong house. Or there's that story of that one lady. She came home to an apartment complex, went into the wrong apartment, okay? Police officer, off-duty police officer. She went in someone else's apartment and thought they broke into her apartment, and so she shot and killed them. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Even if it's an accident, and it probably was an accident, you're responsible. You're responsible. You don't get to just do that because you wear a badge. That's not how our system works. And in fact, part of the reason we have the Bill of Rights is specifically they were talking about they didn't want a situation like they had with the British colonists, where the British colonists were able to invade people's personal, like private residences, take their personal property, and conscript them for things without a warrant, without justification. That's fundamental to the United States. So, like, Don Lemon, what he's saying here is a little bit charged, but he's not actually telling. And again, the hypocrisy here. Now you can read his mind, because nowhere in here does he say shoot ICE agents. He says get guns to defend yourselves, basically. Defend, self-defense, castle doctrine.
Is Don Lemon not someone in a position of power?
As a young liberal, do
you condone that?
What
do you
Don
condone
Lemon
shooting?
said?
Yeah, do you condone that?
No, you should not shoot ICE agents. He said that you should have a weapon in your house. Don't you support the Second
Oh, they did do a fact check. Okay, cool.
Amendment?
Not for illegal immigrants, because they're not allowed to legally own firearms.
Okay, so, I mean, ICE targets legal immigrants as well. Let's see. I think legal immigrants probably are allowed to firearm ownership. Let's just see here. Yes, legal immigrants can lawfully obtain firearms. And ICE does objectively, demonstrably, factually target legal immigrants. And they also went to the Supreme Court to argue that they could even go after actual citizens. And if you don't know this, just giving you a heads up, this is literally true, by the way. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not joking. ICE argued to the Supreme Court, which gave them the authority to, target even U.S. citizens based on their skin color and their accent.
Can I clarify something? Can I clarify? He was talking about citizens because he said they're arresting and detaining citizens.
Actually, yeah, that's also true too. I think in the article it did say that. I'm glad he brought that up. I kind of lost track on that one myself.
So if you watch
Not
that,
true, by
if
the
you
way.
watch that clip, he was saying citizens. I hope there's one of those fact checks on screen because he was saying they're detaining citizens. So really quickly,
Citizens wouldn't need to be like shooting ICE agents either.
I don't think.
Yeah, if your rights aren't being violated, but if you have a state that's coming after you and violating your rights, then you have the right to defend yourself. This has been your party's talking point for like 30, 40, 50 years. What are you talking about?
Anyone should shoot ICE agents, but he was number one. I'm not
And by
Don
the
Lemon.
way, that's
I'm not Don Lemon.
That's a ton. No, we're
Can I just
saying
clarify?
left-wing people openly.
But you know what? Maybe it's a little bit irresponsible. Maybe it's a little bit out there. That's one example of someone who doesn't even work at CNN anymore. And how relevant, let's be honest, how relevant really is Don Lemon these days? Now compare that to Donald Trump, his Secretary of State, his Miller, whatever the fuck Miller does, Elon Musk, like all these people, all these Michael Knowles, very relevant today, Steven Crowder, right? All these people are calling for civil war after Charlie Kirk's death, out in the open, by the way.
Incite violence.
Not even close.
All the
Very
time. I see
quickly,
videos all the
I'm a
time.
young liberal, and I completely, wholeheartedly condemn anyone on my side who is number
Boy.
one, talking poorly about
You don't
Charlie
even need to
Kirk.
do this.
Number two, saying insane
Sure, yeah,
stuff
condemn
about.
half your party. Do it.
Oh, you think? Okay, can you name one Democratic person in position of power who said something about Charlie Kirk that was?
Yeah,
like,
I just said like half of the people on MSNBC. We saw the video.
Can you
the
name
second he
someone?
died.
No, she said people on MSNBC that were behind the scenes that she just clairvoyantly knows were, I don't know, celebrating or whatever. Oh, you know, I'm sorry. She's bringing up there's a phone. I think it was like some phone captured audio of MSNBC behind like in the studio, laughing about something or celebrating something. They say that it wasn't related to the Charlie Kirk. Like it was something else, right? Something else that was going on at the time. Who knows? But like that's really the best that you got, you know?
I don't know because they're off camera. We heard the cheers the second he
Okay, well,
died.
on your side, I can name Mike Lee, who made fun of Melissa Hortman after she died. I can name Donald Trump and Don Jr., who made fun of Nancy Pelosi. So just to back up, there is a
Still alive.
normalization of this type of ideology happening in our politics, and it's
Yeah,
due to
on
people
the
like
left.
Donald Trump. Okay,
We saw Luigi Mangione as a sex symbol.
Pause. Time out.
Her words.
We're done with this claim, so we need to move on to the next claim.
my next claim is, despite Trump's claims, the economy is not in a golden age.
Oh my god. I have so much more time in this video. I'm here forever.
Nice to meet you.
I'm right.
Let's like
Nice to meet you, Riley.
So why do you think
It's 1.5 this
Trump's
bad boy.
economy isn't golden?
I don't think it's in a golden age. I think that he claims almost on a week.
It's not. It hasn't fallen off a cliff. That's true. Well, I mean, let's just be honest about it. But inflation is going back up. The job growth has slowed down. I think. I mean, I hear this. I haven't really looked into it myself. That jobs are actually legitimately now getting replaced by AI. So like the jobs, they're not even there, and they're not going to be there. You know, the value of the dollar has increased. There's pros and cons to that. What else? I mean, the stock market's doing okay, but like people have already been struggling, and rather than actually making the economy better for the average person, at the very least, we could say it hasn't gotten really any better. Whether we want to say it's like a disaster, it hasn't really reached like a disaster point, but it's not really better. And if anything, I think most people agree that it's kind of a little bit shittier. Prices are a little bit higher right now, especially on the kind of goods that like your average consumer is consuming. Inflation is rising, jobs are, slowing down. These aren't good things.
Weekly basis that the economy is in a golden age and that we are bringing in trillions of dollars in tariffs, but that's not manifesting in any of the indicators. We can look at three in particular. Unemployment is up since Trump took office. Prices are rising, and
Yes.
manufacturing is down. Manufacturing was one of his.
That's another one I didn't really think to point out, because the Republicans are trying to spin this whole thing. We're the manufacturing party. Actually, manufacturing was up under the Democrats because the Democrats invested in the CHIPS Act, in the infrastructure bill, and they were actually trying to put policy towards attracting manufacturing in the United States, not just saying it, not just doing it so they can get people to vote for their politicians. But yeah, manufacturing is actually down right now. It's not really that surprising, but Trump supporters would be surprised by it because I think tariffs were going to magically bring all these jobs back. But like, no, that didn't happen. Manufacturing's down.
Big claims, but we can dig into any of those.
Yeah, so I would just like to talk about the tariffs first in general. So actually, when we increase tariffs, it's kind of proven that always at the beginning, inflation rises, there's always a little spike, and then it eventually decreases. We can also see that Trump would do this to...
I mean, I think that'd probably be true of like almost every economic trend, that initially you're going to have either a rise or fall, and then it's going to like kind of simmer down a little bit. But that doesn't mean like if it rises really high and then it kind of comes back down again, it could still wind up coming back to a point that was higher than it was before. You know, something like inflation, for example. That doesn't make it a good thing. It's not a good thing that you created a house fire and then you put out part of the house fire. So like, oh, hey, you know what? We're kind of reducing the fire now. Yeah, but you kind of like, you kind of created a big mess first. And, you know, now you're kind of like winding things back a little bit, I guess.
Eventually, in hopes to improve domestic manufacturing and self-reliance. Because, for example...
But you're not doing that, though, are you?
We get about 60% of semiconductors and...
By the way, so I didn't even know this. Let me just double check this real fast. I think the United States is like the second largest manufacturer in the world. U.S. manufacturer. You know, largest manufacturing countries in the world. China's the world's largest, and the position is held in surpassing the United States in 2010. So, United States is the second largest manufacturer in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I almost fell for this bullshit because nobody bothered to push back against it. Like, they convince everybody that, you know, manufacturing is the most important. Well, that and immigrants and trans people, you know, whatever is the flavor of the week for them. But no, like our manufacturing is actually pretty high. And like none of these fucking losers, by the way, ever work in manufacturing. You ever notice that? The people who went to college tell you not to go to college. The people who don't work in manufacturing tell you to work in manufacturing. It's got...
90% of microchips from Taiwan. They're the leading manufacturer of those in the whole world. And currently they're at war with China. And if China...
Yeah, I don't even know why you bring this up for. Everybody knows that the Democrats and Biden passed the CHIPS Act. For that reason. What did you guys do about it? You talked about it? You harassed some immigrant people over it? You know, beat up some trans people? Is that what you guys did about it? We actually did something constructive. You guys just kind of use it as an excuse to be shittier.
China takes over Taiwan, then we're in big trouble, right? So I would just kind of like to add that it's really important.
If China takes over Taiwan, what did Donald Trump say about protection of Taiwan? He basically said China can just go ahead and do whatever the fuck they want. Donald Trump has not been consistently supportive of Taiwan. Neither has the Republican Party. So, like, none of this shit makes sense.
And not only do tariffs help us get that self-reliance and create more jobs, we also can use tariffs to make more money, bring more money for our country, because to fix the national debt issue that Biden's team caused. So.
Yeah, let's start off with...
He didn't cause it. I mean, 1/4 of the entire national debt at this point is due to Donald Trump. Biden added a little bit of debt in his term, but it was economically stimulative, right? When you're investing in manufacturing, when you're investing in infrastructure, there's something I need you guys to understand. There's something called the economic multiplier effect. So why is it that an economy grows? Why is it that the value of the money grows, right? I mean, there's multiple reasons, but one of the reasons is because, and why does our system of economics, why has it been so dominant? Surplus value, right? I know the surplus value of labor thing is not, you know, 100% like the most up-to-date model, whatever, but surplus value is indeed generated by these economic endeavors that we undertake. And when we do so, we're increasing the overall size of the economy. More things are getting done. More productivity is at the disposal of human beings. Human beings are able to trade time for products, for services, because we're trading time. I trade time by going to a job to do something. Other people trade their time to go do another job. And that way we're not all having to do every single job. We're trading the time between each other to do certain tasks. And on the other end, we're getting services or goods for it. But the overall thing grows as we do that. Man, where was I going? Where was I going with this? Here,
the first claim about tariffs reshoring manufacturing, they absolutely...
Talking about manufacturing, we're talking about tariffs. Having a boomer moment here. The The economic multiplier effect. So there's a concept called the velocity of money, right? Because when we spend money in the economy, it stimulates other productivity in the economy. If I buy an item from a supermarket, the supermarket will restock that item. And when they restock that item, that tells the manufacturer to produce more. That manufacturer producing more means more work for the other workers in that company that manufacture. Those workers are getting paid. They're going to spend their money in the economy, and they might go, I don't know, to the massage parlor to get a happy ending. And they go to the massage parlor and they get their happy ending. And that tells the other massage parlors, hey, the demand for massage parlors is going up. This industry is booming. We can hire more people. We can do more work. We can get more money. Their workers make more money. Do you understand? Everything is multiplying on top of each other now. The economy is moving. People are trading their time to produce goods and services. Economic activity generates more economic activity, but not all economic activity generates economic activity at the same rate. Some things generate more economic activity over a shorter span of time. That's kind of what the economic multiplier effect is. Infrastructure has a very high economic multiplier effect. Why would that be the case? Oh, because people need the infrastructure to go to and from work. They need the infrastructure to send materials to other companies across the country. They need the infrastructure in order to send materials, goods, and services out of the country. They need to do it so that they could travel and visit their family. They'll spend some money at the McDonald's when they go to the rest stop. They'll spend money at the gas station, right? Infrastructure has a high economic multiplier effect because every single person in the entire fucking country, in the entire economy, relies on the infrastructure. So when you invest in infrastructure, you're boosting the productivity of the entire population. If I give all the money to the rich people, they stick it in a bank account, that doesn't have the same economic multiplier effect. Now, it does have a multiplier because that money gets invested in the bank uses it to lend out, that money gets lent out, it gets used to make a new business, that new business employs people, economic activity. The question is, how stimulative is the activity? A rich person will go buy a yacht, right? You give one rich person $1 million, he'll buy himself a fancy yacht, and it's generated economic activity for the boat manufacturer who employs people who manufacture boats. They, make money, they go and they, buy shit and spend money and stuff. Or you give $1 million to, I don't know, 10,000 people, spread out between 10,000 people. And instead of them buying one yacht, they buy 10,000 fishing boats, little aluminum fucking rinky-dink fishing boats. It's enough to get the job done. That is a lot more economic productivity, is it not? Because that is 10,000 boats being manufactured by, it's not 10,000 companies, but it's probably multiple companies, and they're employing many more people to produce this amount of boats. Now, all those people are getting money, and they're going and spending it in the economy. The rate of how much economic activity is generated by an economic activity is not the same. Some things have a higher multiplier. And it's related to something that I learned recently called the velocity of money. It's not just that money's being spent. It's how quickly is the money actually like changing hands and producing economic activity. If it's only one boat manufacturer making one custom yacht for one person, that's not the same velocity of money as 15 manufacturers building 10,000 boats that are employing, I don't know, a couple thousand people. It's not the same.
It really can be used.
So what's a better course to go on? To just tariff everything because we're economically illiterate and we're fucking lazy, and because the guy that we dick ride we have TDS for tells us that tariffs are the only fucking thing that we can ever imagine, Or does it make more sense to invest in the infrastructure, actually put subsidies and money behind bringing manufacturing back to the United States? I don't know.
To reshore certain industries into the United States, and that's a good point, but that's not how Trump's using them. He placed blanket tariffs on every single country except for Russia and North Korea.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. Like, if you're saying that you're going to use tariffs to target manufacturing, to try to build up some particular industry or something, right? You have some goal for it. Why would you then tariff literally fucking everyone and everything? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Yeah, you are. Why would you not then specifically target the specific things that you're trying to do, so that way you don't upset the entire economy? Because if you're going to make upsetting moves to the economy, you want to mitigate the damage. You want to diversify your economy so that if one industry is experiencing some shocks, the other ones are kind of balancing it out. That's why you invest in a mutual fund, why you invest in something like an index fund rather than just individual stocks. If you really wanted to target specific things like manufacturing, you would specifically tailor your tariffs for that. You wouldn't just blanket tariff everybody. You blanket tariff everybody because your base is fucking stupid and they're obsessed with the idea of us versus everybody else. And that's the only idea that they have. They haven't had an original idea in like 50 fucking years. The only idea that they have is fuck everybody else. That's it. All of their rhetoric revolves around it. All of their foreign policy revolves around it. Even their economic policy at this point has stupid and short-sighted and shooting themselves in the foot as it is. Even their economic policy reflects it at this point. That's what fascism does to a motherfucker.
For some odd effing reason. But then he has been kind of weird about these tariffs. Like, there's no actual concessions that he's trying to get. He placed tariffs on countries that we had free trade with. And then secondly, when you do tariffs, really quickly, when you do tariffs all via executive order, all of his tariffs.
And the other thing is, like, he backed down from all these tariffs anyways. You know what I mean? Like, he got nothing from them. How are you going to show up with the gall to trot out this argument after the last year when your tariff bullshit didn't even pan out into anything? You didn't get anything for it. He caved on everything.
Tariffs were via executive order. None of them actually went through Congress or were long-term and binding. There's no actual incentivization for countries to reshore manufacturing because there's there's no continuity into the next administration, right? Can you agree that when you do it all?
I would just say it too. I would point out to the audience what's really going on, which is like, you guys didn't really use tariffs in an intelligent way. It didn't work out. We saw that it didn't work out. And the reason that it didn't is because like you guys, like, it's not that tariffs are good or bad. It's that like you guys are just actually like obsessed with tariffs now. You're obsessed with it because like you want you're like in a us versus them mentality, and because people criticize you guys doubled down on this to the point where like now that's like your only economic idea, and like you don't even care how it's implemented. You don't even care if it worked out. You don't even care if you guys actually stuck through with it, because like it's just a talking point that you're obsessed with now.
Via executive order, the next administration could just, run it all back. So we've seen actually a decrease in manufacturing investments.
I would like to add that when we see that employment rates will rise and costs will go down, we've already, it's only, we're not even in his first full through.
He said 90.
It'll do it, I swear. Okay, well, I mean, it hasn't historically. You guys haven't shown it to be the case right now. And I think really that, like, if you guys are just going to trot out stupid, like, bullshit that you haven't even thought through, while the other side is actually giving, like, some nuanced perspective on economics and, like, different ways to do things, and actually has a track record to back it up, I think maybe you guys shouldn't be put in charge. I don't know. Crazy idea. I don't know.
He's the one that's claiming we're in a golden age and said 90 deals in 90 days.
I mean, it just kind of seems like you guys are just kind of obsessed with like the smell of your own farts at this point. And like, I get that you guys had to like do that whole thing, like you guys are going through something, but like, I rather you kind of just do that over there. Like, the adults are trying to actually do something productive. If you guys need like a minute to, go cold turkey, have your like TDS withdrawals or whatever, like kind of do that in the corner over there, especially since we don't have universal healthcare. So like you guys could just kind of go do it in the corner. But like the rest of us are actually trying to live, trying to like do things properly. Like it's not just us trying to like jerk each other off and like not admit that we're wrong. Like we're actually trying to do stuff, not just be like useless sacks of fucking shit with an ego that like won't allow them to actually do anything productive for the country that they say that they love.
Also, can I add that when tariffs are added about, like you said, about multiple across all nations in the world, that is like I believe I'm saying the right name, neo-exceptionalism trade policy. So we can have more.
Neo-exceptionalism is just a fancy way of saying that, like, you guys are nationalists. This is another rebranding of nationalism. Neo-exceptionalism is we're the best country, everything that we do is the best, and we're the only country that matters. And yeah, we get it. Okay, that's the only thing that you guys have had going for you for like the past 50 years. Like, everybody gets that that's your policy. You can call it neo-exceptional, like you can just like slap whatever stupid fucking label you want to call it today. Like, it's not interesting, it's not unique, it's not fancy and new because you put a new name on it. It's the same fucking boring, unimaginative idea that you guys have been peddling for 50 fucking years, and it's old, it's stale. You know, like, you guys were able to bamboozle some Gen Z kids that hadn't heard this shit before and didn't grow up in the fallout of like 9/11 and the Bush administration, all this neocon bullshit. But like, it's not 2016 anymore. Your shit's fucking stale as fuck because like you're a broken record. You're repeating the same shit for 20 years. No one gives a fuck about it anymore. It might just be me, but I actually think the population is like inflected on that point now. It might just be me. That's what I'm feeling like.
Communication with other countries and also to just generate more wealth also as well. And
that's not manifesting in any of our manufacturing investment. That wealth is not manifesting for the U.S. people. In fact, this type of tax is regressive. Can you agree that tariffs are paid by the U.S. consumer? Like,
good argument. I mean, I didn't really think about. He might be a little bit more deformed than I am. I'm tired. You could see. I'm getting over a cold, right? But no, he's making a good point here.
Split with Trump there?
Yes, of course, tariffs are paid by the U.S. consumer. But as we can see, that when we use tariffs to have domestic manufacturing and.
But we don't see that, and you're telling me that you swear it's going to happen in the future. Maybe, but we haven't seen that yet. So, you know, until you actually have some proof, I don't think you got anything to go off of.
To just generate more wealth, we can rely on ourselves and not look to these other countries.
Autarky. If anyone wants to have an argument over what is the economic ideology of fascism, people say capitalism, people say social. It's actually this. It's autarky. It's you are so obsessed with yourself. You hate everybody else so much. You are paranoid about everybody else so much. You're so hostile to the rest of the world that you think that your economy can only work if you have everything only to yourself and your people. You don't work with other people. You don't trade with other people. You only make shit yourself. Which, by the way, like, if you want to do that, that's fine and everything. I'm just saying, like, it's kind of part of like a psychotic, like, obsession that you guys have. It's not like you're actually being thoughtful or anything. Like, you guys are just kind of obsessed with this one idea because it's all you fucking have.
Like we have been for so long. And
that's right, but it's not what Trump's doing. Actually, real private fixed investment into manufacturing structures in the United States went down. Biden actually had a few acts that incentivized, like the CHIPS Act, incentivized the building of chips and semiconductors in the United States. But Trump is tearing up these trade deals and then piecing them back together with tape and signing his name on it as if he did something when he didn't.
But as we can see with Biden's era of presidency, inflation actually increased. And with Trump's current president's second term, it hasn't decreased. And we actually see, as of August, I believe, that median household income has increased $1,000 already. And in its first term, we've seen. It was a pleasure.
I'm curious if this is true. Let's see. Median household income graph. I don't even know if I could. $2,003. Yeah, about 1,000. But you know what? This looks like it's this is basically us recovering from where we were pre-COVID. You know, which, by the way, she said, like, oh, inflation increased under Biden. Yeah, I mean, every country in the world did. Like, let's stop being babies. Let's stop pretending that we're babies. You guys need to stop giving these people like carte blanche to pretend we're babies. Like, you guys know this is stupid. Let's stop pretending that it's not. We know that inflation was high during COVID for every single fucking country. It has nothing to do with Biden.
That was great. I really enjoyed that. Got you. What's up?
Hi, nice to meet you. Isaiah.
Isaiah.
I want to give you 30 seconds, and I want to give myself 30 seconds just to understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, so again, there are a few indicators that you can look at, but if Donald Trump is going to claim that we are in a golden age, then we necessarily had to have been in a golden age under the end of Biden's term, because so far, youth unemployment is up 16% since he took.
This is a good way of framing it, yeah, because the economic trends have kind of more or less kind of stayed the same. Like, things are a little bit more expensive, unemployment's a little bit higher, but if you really want to be nitpicky and technical, like, there's not been a huge departure one way or the other. So if you guys just say, like, oh, we're in a golden age, like, no, you're just kind of saying stuff because you're obsessed with Donald Trump.
took office. That's people in this room. Youth unemployment is up. That's not a golden age. Unemployment for Black Americans is up 20% since he took office. That is not a golden age. We can look at inflation over the past, since Liberation Day in April. You can look at inflation and it has gone up. We were actually trending down at the end of Biden's term, and as Trump took office, now it's trending back up. And all of this is for what?
Okay, all right. I'm tired, guys, and I'm kind of frazzled. So we're gonna pick this up again another time. I'm about 30 minutes in, so I'll remember that.
No actual reshoring.
Until then, I don't know. Just stay woke, okay? Because they're out there creeping, and it's not bad to be woke. It's not bad to be woke. If you're asleep, that's because you're a bot. So I don't even know why these people try to pretend like it's supposed to be a bad thing. Well, we know why it is, because they wanna turn everything good into a bad thing. But it's not bad to be aware and to be awake. It's actually a bad thing to be so full of TDS that you're obsessed with Donald Trump, and you're obsessed with immigrants, and you're obsessed with every other country's out to get us. Right? It's not healthy. It's weird. It's obsessive. It's unimaginative. You're not thinking for yourself. You're not a critical thinker. You didn't do your own research. You just sound like every other MAGA person that has like the same 3 ideas and talking points. And it's getting stale.